We're live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Hack Shack Studios. How have you been? Hope everyone's doing good. It is a fantastic summer day here in Southern California. I am loving it. Just had a terrific lunch with my family. We had some In-N-Out takeout. It was delicious. And talking to my daughter about potentially doing a YouTube channel and possibly doing an art book based on her work. And you know what? You know what I'm going to do? While I'm talking, I'm just making this up right now. I'm going to show you her newest painting. It's pretty fantastic. I'm so proud of this kid. Let me see if I can find it without showing off too much junk. All right, I'm coming back. So first, let's say hi to everybody. We got VIP. What's up? Congratulations, Art. Yeah, it's pretty monumental. Black and white is over 30K. So I'm very, very happy about that. Hyper Kaiju, how are you? Yo. We got Linkovich, burger fries rock. Yes, burger fries rock. Those are my favorite things other than comic books. Rock and roll and burgers. Rock and burgers. Wasn't there a Rock and Brew? I think it was like those Kiss guys. They opened a restaurant called Rock and Brew. It's pretty generic. The food's okay. Congrats, Art. Thank you. It's not over yet. It's not over. This epic journey still has 3 days left, I believe. Congrats. Thank you. Hell, Art. Hey, what's up, Todd? I follow Mandy on Instagram. She is awesome. That is cool, Linkovich. I'm going to show you. I don't have her Instagram, but I do have her Facebook post. I reposted. Congrats on 30K, Art. Thank you. I do appreciate that. This is a big day. I'm having a ball, man. I am having a ball making comic books and hanging out with you guys. And we're going to talk a little bit about comics, too. I was on another stream with a couple kooky guys, and I'm hoping to have them on the show here in a bit. And we were talking about Atlas Comics, and Atlas Comics has a pretty interesting history. And I'm going to share that with you. Also in the link, I do have a documentary. It's a small little documentary on Atlas Comics. It's got like quite a bit interesting cast of characters that were behind that. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. But first, I'm going to go off on my first tangent. There will be many, you guys. There will be many epic tangents that I will take. And the reason I got the camera the way I do is because I'm going to do some drawing for you guys. So let's see. Hopefully you should be seeing this. This is Mandy T. Bear's painting. So this is a months of work, she says. Finally almost done, focusing on the background now. I actually like when she keeps the background soft, but she kind of comes back in and she hardens up things a little bit, tightens it up. But I think it's pretty good just the way it is. The use of colors is amazing. The sheets and the folds, that's not easy to do, and she makes it look pretty easy. I think this painting is absolutely fantastic. So this is just a photo from her camera. You could imagine what it looks like in real life. So I'm encouraging her to get a YouTube channel going and also possibly fundraise like an art book. I think she should do an art book. And also she's been trying to get into some new galleries. And I think if she had an art book, that would work as her resume. She could actually shop that around and show it off to people. It's a good calling card, and it'll look impressive. And she can crowdfund that. I think she would do really well. At least, I mean, at the very least, I think it would pay for itself. Drew, there he is. Drew, Mr. E. Let me see. Let me see here. Clip. Let's go here. Let's go to I hope I'm not sharing still. No, you did not miss a link, Drew. Here it is. I just sent it. Like I said, I hope I didn't... I wasn't sharing. Well, let me show you what, so we're going to have Drew on the show. I just sent him a link. So I'm going to work up some more of these. I think I have 6 left to go on this. So I thought I would invite some people in. We'd hang out, talk about comic books, and I could get some work done. Yes, it's Captain Love indeed. So we are going to have the great Captain Love in here, and possibly Brian. I have to cop ignorance. I'm not sure, one, how to say his last name, and then two, what his last name is. I could try to butcher it right now, but I will not. I will not share that with you guys. So we'll see if we can get Drew in here soon, and then we can talk, because we started talking last night. Drew, Brian, and Sim. We were on Drew's channel last night, and we were talking about Alias Comics, and I thought it was interesting. So we talked about a lot of stuff last night. We were all over the place. Oh, there he is. Hey, Drew. We were all over the place last night, weren't we? Drew?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. There must be a delay.
I have an extra window open. It's messing with my head. Hold on.
Oh, okay. But I was saying, like, last night we were all over the place as far as subject matter. We were talking about Alias Comics and swords and crowdfunding, and then time travel.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So how you been, man?
All right. It's been a crazy day, trying to get like everything wrapped up, and then it's like one of those days where I woke up extra early for no good reason at all, and it's just.
The worst part is when you wake up early and then you think, like, I'm going to get all kinds of crap done in the morning, and then it's about lunchtime and you look back at how much you didn't get done.
Right. I spent a lot of time this morning since I was like, okay, well, no, there's, I can't make any phone calls because it's just too early to do any of that. I'm like, okay, what can I get done? So I actually pulled out, my notes. I started making all kinds of different notes on, my own projects and things I want to do and that kind of stuff. And then as soon as it turned 8 o'clock, my phone started ringing, and it just rang. And I got off that call, and I got up to go into the other room, and my phone rang again. I had to go back to it. And it was probably 10 o'clock before I actually got around to actually getting my coffee in me. So it was really weird.
That's horrible.
Yeah, it was just a really weird morning because I distracted myself, so I did my coffee late, and then the as soon as the clock hit, it was just like rolling. It was just crazy. It's one of
well, I'm gonna mute myself. Keep talking because I hear the trash truck.
Ah, the trash truck. Well, I also sent the link over to Brian Krishkow, and that's his last name if you're wondering. Krishkow.
Okay, it's Chris Cow.
It's spelled Christgau. It's Christgau.
Okay.
Yeah.
I almost said Christ Gu.
Yeah. That would be like one way to. I mean, he would accept however you say it. I mean, he's a really cool dude like that. But it's it's like, I guess it's a very German, near Slavic name. So it's like Christgau. So it's. Instead of pronouncing the I like Christ, what I mean? It's Christ, or whatever. So instead of Christ, it's Christ.
All right. Well, let's get Brian in here. I apologize for the sound.
And there he is. We say his name enough times, he's going to show up.
You Schweinhund. It is pronounced Christgau.
Christgau, not Christ. Christgau.
Yeah. But don't.
It's more fun to say Christ.
That's. I really don't have a fucking problem with that. You can call me whatever you fucking want.
All I have to say is welcome, Brian, and also you scared the shit out of me when you said your name with a German accent. I was like, whoa.
Yeah, no, I
I felt like signing up for the Nazi youth party. Okay.
I'm hey, man, we're Germans, man. We're sinister. We're a sinister people. What can I say?
Except for you.
Except for me.
Yeah, no. Brian's like if you had to associate him to an anatomy, he'd probably be a breast. So.
I'll accept that. That's totally cool. As for the name, I've gotten Chris Gall, Chris Gann, Chris Gnu. Chris Gnu is my favorite. by far.
Where's the end in that?
I have to ask you, Drew, what did you mean? You said a body part, he would be
a breast.
Breast.
Like a boob?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
a boob.
Yeah.
So are you saying that Brian is a boob?
A boob.
Well, no, he's not like a boob, like a fool. He's like a boob, like a breast, like he's soft and cuddly and and nurturing, and you know.
Thanks, dude. Thanks.
Wow.
So what am I? So I'm not like a little bee sting. I'm like more like a C or a D.
You're like a saggy mom boob.
Okay.
Wow.
I'll accept that. I'll accept that.
So now everybody in the chat is getting an idea of what the show was like last night.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man.
I just want to thank you guys for having me on. I had a blast. We talked about all kinds of cool stuff. Also, I have a little extension of what we talked about last night, which was Alias Comics. I found it's like a little, I don't know if it's a documentary per se. It's only about a half hour or maybe 20 minutes long. And it's the history of Alias Comics. And I thought it was quite interesting, that we were talking about those things last night. And it just sparked my interest in them, in the whole venture. And so...
oh, there it is. I see the link. It's in your description. History of Atlas Comics. There it is.
Right yeah. So if you guys, after this video, after this live stream, go check it out. But they were talking about because there were actually kind of two versions of Alias or Atlas Comics. You know that, right?
Yeah.
Right.
There was like one in the 50s, and then suddenly it like came back in the 70s when there were like a whole bunch of like dissatisfied Marvel employees who wanted to defect and create their, basically it was almost like an early attempt at what Image became.
Yeah, actually, now that I think about it, there were three versions, right? Because there was one in 2011, I think.
I think there was, because I think that's around the time that they came out with the Grim Ghost. The Grim Ghost was an Atlas character, and I remember I don't think it was Dynamite. No, I think it was like a sort of half-hearted, aborted attempt at bringing it back. Like there was an attempt to bring back First Comics a few years ago. I don't know if you remember them.
Oh, yeah, I do.
Yeah, I mean, I was a huge fan.
I have to watch this documentary, and I got my interest peaks. But
so many good ones right now.
I have like all kinds of memories of Atlas Comics, but not so many in the store. I do remember okay, so my comic experience like started before I went to stores, because my uncle had comics that he left at my grandfather's house. So whenever I was at my grandfather's house, there was never any TV to watch, because it was either Andy Griffith with him, and that was a 1 hour of day, and then they would watch news at night. And I wasn't allowed to watch TV without them. You know what I mean? So at his house, and so I would read, like crazy. Every book that was there, I would be like flipping through, and then there was a huge stack of comics from the 50s and 60s, and I mean like old school Richie Riches and stuff. Wow. You know what I mean? Where it's like, wow, it's like I you can't even get me to guess the date of half of the stuff I remember, because I mean a lot of it was just already there. And then my sister had her own collection of comics as well. And then those were all Archies. That's why I always think of Archie comics as a girl comics, because my sister collected Archie comics.
Yeah, absolutely. That was like the one publisher that was still sort of making comics for girls.
Yeah, they were usually romance type situations, dating situations, things like that maybe girls would be more interested than boys.
Yeah. I think the industry made such a huge mistake when it decided it was going to basically tell 55% of the world, like, we don't want your business.
Archie Comics is still making comics.
I know. Dude, did you ever read Undead with Archie, or was I think Undeath with Archie? With honestly, amazing. Like one of the best horror comics. I'm like not lying here. One of the best horror comics of the last 5 years.
Wow. Yeah, I haven't.
Zombie Jughead is the shit.
I haven't even like engaged in the Archie universe at all since I was a small child. It was just, you know what I mean? It was kind of like a turn off that it was my sister's gig.
Oh
You know
yeah,
what I
no,
mean?
of course. Yeah. As a kid, those were the uncool comics. You know?
And yet we all had them.
Oh, we did. Yeah, we did, because we fell in love with the medium, and well, it's a comic. You're gonna read it. You're just maybe not
Exactly.
gonna read it 100 times.
Yeah.
Well,
I was. Go ahead, Art.
Oh,
Sorry,
I was going to
interrupt
say
you.
I want to get back into the Atlas stuff, and then we can kind of go into, our love. Because I mean, I think we should just talk about our love of comics in general. I think it's a blast. It's always fun to hang out with like-minded people that have the same kind of enthusiasm for the art form that you love so much. But what was it? It was.
So I see here. There's two variations of Atlas that I'm finding here. I'm finding an Atlas from the 50s that merged with Marvel, and then another Atlas that seems to have changed Seaboard. You know what I mean? So like Atlas Seaboard Comics. I'm wondering if there was like a split or something like that. Because
what happened is it was the same person behind it. I did a little bit of research since last night because when we were talking, it didn't go away. It was like a seed that was planted. So it was who was it? It was Martin Goodman, and he's the guy behind Timely. But I believe before Timely, it was Atlas. So the original Timely pre-Marvel was Atlas. So it was Atlas, Timely, and then Marvel in the 50s. And so Martin Goodwin was the publisher. And
check this out. So Atlas Seaboard is the term comic book historians and collectors use to refer to the 1970s line of comics published as Atlas Comics.
Well, that's where I was going with it. That's actually Martin Goodman's son, Charles Goodman, that brought it back, but with basically Martin's blessing. So what?
And that was called Seaboard Periodicals. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean the cover just said Atlas Comics, and that's the one that Brian was. It had the arrow, so that was the more modern one. The original one was kind of like Charles Atlas, where it had the banner and then had the globe, like the world. So that was the 1950s version, and then the one with the A and the like arrow in the center. That's the 70 version, the 1974 version. And so basically, like Martin Goodman brought in, because Stan Lee was always there, but he I guess there was a little bit of a power struggle, and so it was kind of understood that actually, Stan Lee would be better at leading the publishing company, and so then Stan kind of got it, ran it, and then turned it into a huge success in the 60s. So then it turned into Marvel, and then all the Marvel Universe stuff came out of that. But I guess it stuck with Martin, and like he was kind of like, any kind of powerful person is like, well, it was because of me, So I think he wanted to prove that he could replicate what he did in the 60s. So actually Alias, the one that we kind of know and grew up on, like the one in the 70s, was actually a middle finger to Marvel.
Yep.
So what it was is this, like, I can make lightning appear in a bottle again. I can do this. And so then he hired his son, and Charles is the one that ran the company. And then he even hired, get this, he even hired Stan Lee's brother, Larry.
No.
Lee. Yes.
That's too funny.
Like I said, an interesting cast of characters. Larry Lieber is the one that headed the day-to-day. And so I think Larry actually, no, he didn't. He ran the magazine. There was a magazine part too. Because remember, like Vampirella and like Warren Publications was putting out black and white, like magazine.
Creepy, eerie. Yeah, love those to pieces. Yeah. So with the newsprint that would rub off on your fingers.
Right. So what they did is they replicated the Marvel universe, and then they used the Warren template for magazines. So Larry Lieber ran the magazine stuff, which they said in the documentary that he would have been better off doing the comic book division, the color, comic book floppies, and then reversed it for Charles to be running the magazine part. But anyway, they only ran for a year, like Alias, the second version, only ran for a year. But I thought that this was really interesting, and then we can kind of go on to other things. But I thought this was the most interesting thing, other than the cast of characters. And they said that Howard Chaykin did Scorpion, like the first issues, and then Walter Simonson. So they had
ringers, dude. They had absolute straight up ringers.
Yeah, and they said like there was understood that Marvel and DC players were not really allowed to work for Alias. So when you think about it, it's almost like Alias was like a training ground for like Walter and Howard, and I think there were some other people, Pat Broderick. They said there was a bunch of other artists that basically got their start at Alias. And so then the thing I thought was the interesting part is they did three things with the publishing company, three things which were pivotal and actually changed the industry, some for years later, but it did change the industry. One, there was ownership. So if you created a character, you own the character at Atlas. So these were ways that they were trying to get more mainstream people in with these, more, I guess, rights and benefits. And also they were the first to initiate art returns, which
that's interesting.
Was interesting. And I said three things. What was the other? Oh, higher page rates. So they actually paid more than Marvel and DC. So the page rates were higher. You got creator-owned rights. So if you created something, you own the IP. And then they had artwork returns, which Marvel and DC, believe it or not, in 1974, art returns were not available. You did not get your artwork back. And I'll say it, this is how old I am. When I started in the early 80s, art returns and royalties were fairly new, you guys.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, I remember, when Marvel was getting a lot of bad publicity because Jack Kirby wanted his original artwork back, and they were like, "No, you ain't getting it." Which was a slap in the face to a guy that was one of the pillars of the freaking industry. And people can make fun of, because I know a lot of people actually like to crack on Jack Kirby stuff, because it is very dated. There's no question about it. But it's iconic, and he created like the visual vocabulary of comics as we know them. And then they wouldn't give Jack Kirby back his original art. I mean,
well, I have a theory of that, is that from what I hear and remember, there wasn't much of the artwork to return. So I think they didn't want to get themselves into setting a precedent, on the whole thing. So if they started giving some of it away, then he would go, well, where's the rest of it? And
right.
So, well, we kept it and sold it, or whatever they did with it.
Oops.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's
I know
interesting.
they used to have major comic book art auctions, like even before the 50s. It was a thing, like in the 40s, like during, like they had really old artwork. I mean, because how old is Superman? You know what I mean? But the original artwork. I also, now Art, you are actually in the industry. You probably would have a little bit more reference on this. Did they actually, because they didn't do scanning back then, so like the original pencils then were inked on and then were colored and then lettered before they were, with the inking, the lettering happened with the inking and then the coloring. Is that correct?
Yeah, it actually went writing, penciling, lettering, then inking.
Okay.
Wow, that's very peculiar. I mean, we're talking about the industry, like 30 years ago?
Mhm.
Well, yeah, but the lettering had to go first because it was on the board. Like they didn't have the digital, so it wasn't on like an overlay or anything like that.
Right.
The lettering was done right on the board, like it was hand drawn.
Right, and then it was photographed for printing plates, separated by photograph, which is
Have
the
you ever
old school method.
Have you ever
Right?
seen like some of
Yeah.
those old pages that you could see like where like a caption will be scotch taped? You could see little bits of glue and everything like on the original pages. Like they look very sloppy.
Yeah, they were a little dirty. Well, the thing is, back in the day, they just called it production art. So production art was never treated, nicely. I have pages back from DC where, just to get into what Drew was saying. I'm sorry, you guys. Is that they did save those. The only thing that exists archivally is those like you said, those photos. Like they actually took photos and then they made negatives of the artwork. So they were actually photographed and then made into a plate so that they could print them. And so that's the only archival stuff that exists as far as the original, artwork. But I do remember getting back pages from DC, and because it's production art, they like, okay, here's the page. They would strap it in, and then there would be a camera just like there is here, and then this would be the artwork, the page. Then they would take a picture of it, and then they had like these little clips on it that would hold the artwork in place so they could photograph it.
Right.
They had box cutters, and they were just cutting off the corners and grabbing the artwork because it was too much work to pick up, the little holding corners. And so I have artwork that literally has corners cut off of it.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
Wow. That's old school.
What's crazy is a lot of those photos would be stored in slide film format, if not in actual negatives. It's crazy. Like I actually saw a box of slides that were like pictures of comic books prior to separations.
Yeah, I don't know how they save those, if they save them as negatives or if they save them. Yeah, I'm not sure. Do you know how they archive that stuff? I don't even know.
I imagine they a lot of them did it different ways. I mean, there's you can negative archive, right? But those kinds of negatives would actually have to have the separations in play. You know what I mean? So like you would want to, the negative would have to push out just the yellow to make the plate. You know what I mean? They'd have to make out just the black to make the plate. They'd have to push out unless you were doing spot color, which it may have been spot color back then. Like we're only working with so many colors because we can only afford this, So depending on how they were doing their printing method would and then I remember from comic book to comic book.
I do know the answer to that. I see where you're going. You're going with like the full production of the page. Well, the color never existed. I don't believe in film form. I think it was all done in the printing process. So I don't think there's any film that exists of color. It would just be the black and white line art.
Oh, okay.
Because because I think what they did is they just they had numbers, and so when they did color guides back then, they would just indicate numbers, and so then they would put those into the computer into the machinery, and then the machine only recognized those numbers. It didn't recognize, like there was never an original piece of artwork for the color. It was just numbers.
So it was done in a spot format for each number. Each number represented a color, and it was that same color was used over and over and over and over again. So they didn't do any kind of mixes or hard blends or anything.
Right. That's why you had those dot patterns, because it was an illusion of color. So like those dots would kind of represent, like different color dots would represent different colors actually. So I think it was the 4-color process. So they had 4 main colors, and then everything else was like a mixture or variation.
Yeah, it's a cyan, magenta, yellow, and black, right?
Right. And
4-color comics.
Yeah, I don't think that those. I think later they did do film output when they went digital. So there was film, because I actually own original film of black and white from the 90s.
I think Sim
They're
is.
huge. They're massively huge, man. I like the box. You could barely fit it on this drawing board.
I think Sim might be
That's
sitting
insane.
backstage. I see a private chat message that says knock knock.
Love me some Simon. Love me some Simon. What's up,
There he is.
Simon?
Hey Simon, what's
there?
up?
What's up,
Hi.
you sexy mother effer?
Oh, everything's good. I'm happy to be here. Looking
Okay.
great, Art. I was looking
thank
in from the back room there, and I said, nice.
That's Vampy you're doing, right, Art?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
this is Vampirella for the Vampirella Black and White campaign. So
Mm.
we sold a bunch of these. So I've been trying to get, like you got to wear many hats to do these crowdfund and create these
Yeah.
indie projects. So I've been trying to do things like a little bit here, a little bit there, so I could keep everything moving. But
Yeah.
then what inevitably happens is like, where are all those Vampirella headshots? You know what I mean? And so then you have to make it the top priority. So that's
Yeah.
where I'm at right now. Yeah.
Did you guys read that the Vampirella series, the one that was by Christopher Priest?
Nope.
It's very good. And Christopher Priest, of course, was had that incident with a Bleeding Cool reporter activist.
Yeah, that was a big scandal.
Yeah. Because the guy was basically threatening him.
Didn't he lose his contract afterwards? After
I
this?
think so. I think
Yeah.
so. But he could give zero fucks. He really just doesn't care. Like, he will not bend the knee. to
Yeah, I know.
SJWs. He won't do it.
Well, good. I'm glad.
Yeah. But it was a really good series. And it is. I mean, what's not to like about Vampirella? You've got first of all Frazetta, hello, and like one of the sexiest chicks in comics ever, and one of the most ridiculously cartoonishly,
Realistic.
revealing outfits.
Did you ever see the movie?
There's a movie.
Yeah, there's a movie, yeah.
Jim Wynorski. He did the Return of Swamp Thing and Deathstalker. He was like a really low budget guy, and it was Talisa Soto.
Yes. Yes.
I've never seen it, but I remember seeing pictures of her.
The only good reason to watch the movie.
Oh,
In
Talisa Soto.
96.
so
Yeah.
fly, man.
1996.
So freaking hot.
The movie is not that good,
That's
but
Jim Wynorski. Yeah, I wouldn't expect it to be.
So
But
at least they cast it right.
yes.
Yeah, and they got the costume. They got the costume too, of course.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Vampirella. That's an out character and an outfit that you can imagine would make SJW's heads just explode.
And the amazing thing about it is they've tried to change the costume over the years, but pretty much the original costume is the mainstay. No one wants that costume changed.
No, it's first of all Frazetta. You know what I'm saying? If there's anybody that knew how to draw beautiful women, in a sort of, I don't know, the way Frazetta did women, it's like they were sort of realistic, but they were also fantastic. It's not like they were like the kind of women that you could never see in real life.
Well, no,
They were voluptuous, is what.
They're voluptuous.
Right. He definitely
Zoftig.
Well, no, he basically kind of targeted the supermodels of the era, that he was working with. Like, if you think about the girls that were done, it's like those are the same girls that were like, they look body wise just like the supermodels of those years of that artwork. So
Yeah.
I kind of think he was just like on tip of whoever was the hottest more socially. Plus, I think he was a little bit more. He leaned a little bit more towards the naturally athletic physique. You know what I mean? Where it wasn't
they were muscular, but they had body fat.
Well, no, it was like best example would be like Sheena of the Jungle. You know what I mean?
Boy.
Where she was just naturally fit. She wasn't like buffed at all. She was just athletic because she was climbing rocks and stuff all the time. But she wasn't like buffed or ripped. She was just fit and toned and tight. And very shapely, very, very well shaped. You know what I mean?
Well, back then, Drew, they didn't really have like that body kind of shaping culture. So if you were in shape, you were, like you said, you were healthy or athletic. Now, with the diets and the way that they target muscle groups and stuff like that, you can be ripped. So it's more like current body culture is like you're ripped, like you're defined in like an absurd way. But back then it was more like just athletic. It was an athletic, body type. Yeah.
You didn't have the abs and all the dehydration.
Yeah.
That's the thing that people don't realize. Like, one of the first things that I learned when I was training and doing some martial arts, right, is they teach you, like, that big guy that's all muscly right there? Yeah. That's somebody with all their weak spots exposed and dehydrated. So technically, all you need is 2 fingers to pop between those little bones and muscles.
Absolutely.
And it works. They're dehydrated as hell.
Well, Sim, if you look at the Olympics and those power lifters, those guys don't have ripped bodies, man. Those guys.
But that's what I was training for. I did some competition. I did the Montreal Olympics.
Oh,
did you really? No shit.
Yeah.
As what?
I did the Montreal Olympics for weightlifting and judo.
No shit. I didn't know that you were a martial artist. That's awesome.
Yeah. That's cool, man.
That is cool. Judo's legit, man.
Dude, I tried many. I tried boxing. I tried kickboxing, Thai boxing. I tried a bit of kung fu. What I really liked was Aikido, because I love those hand games.
Yeah.
But judo is the shit.
Judo is the most practical fighting technique as well, because anybody's got into a fight, it's usually not stand up. It usually goes to the ground.
Almost
so
always.
If you can grapple, you can kick anybody's ass as long as you
get it's close body, right? So it's rare that when you're doing a fight, you're standing at like a meter at each other and trying, a leg or punch reach. No, usually you're close combat. And judo is, I'm playing with your weight. Like, I showed my kid how to keep somebody off balance at all time, and he was getting like frustrated, as in like, how the fuck? Just two fingers behind your head, and I can move you around like I freaking want. And he's like, Dad, you need to teach me this shit.
Absolutely. And martial arts is great for kids. They take right to it, man. I remember seeing footage of a old man, like a really old dude, like had to be in his 80s, Japanese cat, who was in a judo match with like a much younger man. And you could see this guy trying to throw this old man, and he'd get him up off his feet. He'd go back down. He'd get him up off his feet. He'd go back down. Finally, it's like, you're not moving me. Finally, the guy manages to throw him over his head. The old man turns in midair and lands on his feet on the other side. So it's like, I'm going now, but on my terms. And just, it's absolutely amazing. Yeah, I mean, like, I'm a big fan of martial arts movies, because it's like watching martial arts, you're watching human beings fly.
Now does it make more sense why when you see my action scenes in Blood Hunt?
Oh, I'm trying to like I know that the thing that I'm writing for Preston, Exit Only Acevedo, as I call him, Nine Devils. I know he's like a jiu-jitsu guy, Brazilian jiu-jitsu guy, and I'm gonna try to like work some of that stuff into the fight scenes. And Brazilian jiu-jitsu is really legit. There's another really great video on YouTube of this big muscular like bodybuilder who was like a DJ, and he was evidently like talking smack about the Gracies. They're like the like family for like Brazilian jiu-jitsu. And so one of their students came in and just called up and was like, "Oh, I'll fight you. We'll just do a little exhibition, be for charity."
These were the ones that proved to me like that the judo and the grapplers in those mixed martial arts were always going to win, because like I said, once you get them on the ground, there's not much they can do.
If you watch this fight, it's very obvious. The jiu-jitsu guy is just trying to annoy and anger the bodybuilder.
But that's the point.
So the bodybuilder goes and just tackles him and takes him to the ground, right? So he can do ground and pound, and that's when the jiu-jitsu guy's like, "I got this bitch now. I got this bitch now." And the guy was like trying to drop fists, but the jujitsu guy had his legs wrapped around his midsection, so he couldn't wind up. So like the blows were like landing, but they weren't doing any damage. And yeah, this guy, man, this bodybuilder just got twisted into a pretzel.
Like another martial art that I think is solid is the Muay Thai.
Muay Thai, oh my god! You know they beat on banana trees to increase their bone density.
That's what I did. Yeah, I used to do the same thing. Like I used to be in the country with my granddad, and I used to be out there. Like it's one of the things that my granddad came out. He goes, he sees me, he comes out there, he's smoking his cigarette, sees the dog because we had a husky, right? And the husky was just sitting there and looking at me, and I'm out there and I'm kicking trees like kickboxer, but
Van Damme style.
And my granddad goes to me, goes, son. Is there something we need to discuss? Because usually when a man is training like this because he wants to kill someone.
What did that tree do to you?
Pretty much.
That's amazing work, Art. That's just like you just.
I know.
I
was just about to say, dude, I can't believe you belted that out in what, like less than a half an hour. That's gorgeous, dude.
No, thanks.
One of the things I recommend people when they get into martial arts, it's keep in mind that it's not about fighting; it's about thinking. It's about philosophy. And a good thing to read is Capullo before you get into that shit, because you understand that it's all.
Yeah. No, I've always seen martial arts as a spiritual thing. That's what's really sad about the fact that like Europe lost its martial arts.
Yeah.
Like,
but you know what's the principle? The principle is quite simple: is learn to defend yourself, so you don't feel like you need to overprotect yourself. Like
exactly.
you don't overreact. You don't think that everything needs to be fist up.
Absolutely, because it's like when you're like driving like a Hyundai and you like want to race people. But meanwhile, if you're in a fucking Maserati, you're just chill because if you just put your foot down, anybody's going to be eating your dust, so you've got nothing to prove.
Exactly.
And then you've got an aura around you.
And as you notice, most people that are like real martial artists, they can be fucking calm. Like the world could be exploding around them, and they'll be cold and calculated. And
well, that's what I was going to say. As soon as you lose your head in a fight, that's when you lose.
You lost. Yeah.
Yep.
But my teachers, all of them, like even in boxing, always said one thing. It goes, in real life, that the moment you raise your fist, you lost the fight, because the real fight is in the conversation. And if you lost that one, and you're the first one to raise your fist, you lost.
Yeah. One thing I know from like real life practicality in fights, if you're up against somebody equally matched, even if it's not in the same disciplines, if you're up against somebody equally matched, the fight really comes down to who strikes first and who strikes fastest. You know what I mean? Because
I always say it comes down.
It depends also how much you can take.
Who wants it the most? Like who wants to win the most?
Like I've got a very thick skull. I'm like big. I don't know if I'm big boned. I don't know if I have like a normal bone density. But you can pound on me all day and I do not go down. But yeah, Art, if you didn't know, Drew's like a badass. He's been in like bar clearing brawls with like bikers and shit.
Yeah, I've been in more than my share of fights. Not really proud of it, but yeah.
No, it's nothing to boast. It's nothing to boast about. Nope. And it's totally true what Simon said. The people who really fascinate me, and this is another thing you can look up on YouTube. There are these the Okinawan karate people. They're all about Okinawan karate is all about breaking bones and hurting people. Like you're basically training to like be able to kill somebody with your hands.
You're trying to not fight. You're trying to finish the fight.
Yeah, exactly. Who also a badass and they can kick ass.
Yeah,
Black and White.
Oh. dude.
Yeah, they do martial arts, right?
I'm gonna screen share the campaign.
Back to yesterday.
Oh, thank you so much. You guys should be seeing the campaign right now. And, I think it was good luck going on your show last night because we got the 30K benchmark was hit last night.
And 500 backers on the dot, dude.
Yeah, shortly after your show there. So I do appreciate that, and thank you guys for letting me go on your show last night. So Black and White Volume 1. We just got another backer, you guys. So we're at 30. We are 30,407K, 501 backers. This is volume 1, you guys. So if you missed out on this, the first campaign, this is the second chance at it. And I just added up between the first campaign and this campaign. We are now over 100K for this first issue.
Awesome.
Hell yeah.
Awesome.
And how many hours left? How many hours do people have left
3 days,
to back this?
It's 3 days. Yeah, we have 3 days left. And so I don't know if I qualify for that 6-figure bitch thing.
Yeah, you do.
Because it's 2 campaigns. But yeah, that's a milestone for me. And it makes an indie creator's heart, seeing when you can be supported like this. So I do want to take a moment and tell everybody, thank you so very much for the shout outs, the support, and the backing of this book. You guys are the best. And so one of the things we want to do in this campaign is set it. It is connected to the original, but we wanted to set it apart at the same time. So I did this new piece of artwork, which is the Killer Bot here. Like I said, they're probably the best fighters in their time. And if you have trouble with a robot, you guys, call Black and White. They'll take care of your robot trouble.
Yeah. And by the way,
actually, where you got me was when you said Atlas. Not Atlas. Magnus Robot Hunter. I was like sold.
And by the way, Art, I would add that this is not a variant cover. You're not doing a new edition of the book. You're technically doing a second change edition, which is you're selling your overprint of the first campaign, so it does count. So you're in the 6-figure bitches.
Oh, thank you, man. When you said that, I was like, the arm hair rose off my arm here. I was like, yes.
And I'm freaking proud of it. That I'm like I said, like I told you before, I felt like shit that I missed the first campaign because I was a bit too broke. But I'm so freaking happy that I got in on that one.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoy the book. I'm so very, very proud of it. And I have enough distance from it now that I look at it, I go, wow, this is pretty good. Like when you first create something, you're like, I could have done this, I could have done that. But now I look back and I go, wow, this is pretty good. So volume 2, obviously I'm going to try to top volume 1, and I'm working on that now as well. So this is the Total Bot Annihilation new piece of artwork. So we have this as a poster print, but we also have it as a trading card. So if you back any one of these tiers, you guys, you'll get a free trading card based on this artwork here. So excuse me, that's very cool. And so then we have the tiers. We have the 3 comics plus poster tier, which is the feature. We have the main book. Once again, keep in mind, these all come with trading cards and they all come signed. We have the Total Bot Annihilation poster, signed trading cards. The people over at Dynamite were nice enough to let me have some of these Vampirella Black and White commemorative covers, which is right here. And so we're making those available at this campaign as well. And those will come signed by myself. And this is celebrating Black and White's 25th anniversary and Vampirella's 50th anniversary. So it's got the commemorative cover. We also have variant cover. The first one by Greg Capullo from the first campaign sold out. So we re-offered the same artwork, but in a virgin style. So no logos, no typeset, no nothing. And so we have that as a tier and also available as an add-on. And if you guys would like to see me draw.
And people, you should get that one because people may not know it, but non-logo covers, logo-free covers are usually worth more. And
Oh,
get on it. Yeah,
I had no idea. They're
more collectibles, dude. It's rarer usually. You always have a logo on the cover.
Yeah, somebody in Comicsgate sent me an article that was written about Greg Capullo covers, and they said that the most rare cover that Greg Capullo ever did is this cover right here, and it's because of the low print run. So I don't know how collectability works per se. I know that it's rarity, demand, and condition. So it could possibly hit all that criteria.
And if I remember properly, it's a 97, right?
Yeah, in 94. So the artwork was done originally in 94 as a pinup. So in the old Image comics used to have a centerfold pinup in the book. So they didn't do a lot of variants. They did more of these pinups. So Greg and I were pretty close at the time. So he said, yeah, I'll do a pinup for you. And so I inked it. And so then this version is a remastering. So I digitally re-inked it or cleaned it up from the original scans and then had it recolored by Priya Parai, who's amazing. And then, we made it into this cover. So I think this is really cool. The variant Virgin idea came from Adam Post and Adam Post chat. So I think it was Vilnid that came up with the Virgin idea. So thank you guys. This community is the best. Thanks for all the support. And also we have some original art here. So check that out. And this is the best part. One of the best parts. The first best part is that these books are done and they're ready to ship. As soon as we get the trading cards, the new trading cards back from the printer, we will start fulfilling this campaign. So this is the original campaign goodies. So these were all the stretch goals that was compiled now into a tier. So you can get the original trading cards, the 3-button set, the 2 embroidered patches, the mini print, the bookmark, the double-sided bookmark, and the new oversized sticker. So this comes with the Killer Bot tier, which is this tier right here for $115. It's probably the best deal. You get everything with this $115 Killer Bot tier, and it comes with all those stretch goal goodies. And at checkout, you can add the stretch goal goodies to your order, as you can the drawing. You can add one of the drawings to your tier, and you can add one of the Greg Capullo variants to your tier order. So that's pretty much the campaign, you guys. I had the amazing Kyle Ritter help me out on this cover, or this piece of artwork, I should say. He did all the color work on it, and he knocked
beautiful. Not
just a home run, but this is a grand slam, man. This is touch all 4 bases.
He always kills it.
Yeah, and I do feel a little proud of the lad, because when he was kind of breaking in as a fan, I would post convention drawings and commissions, and he would color those up just to do them. And so he would send them. So I think if you look at my DeviantArt page, there's some early Kyle Ritter colors over my work.
No shit. That's great.
So then I see him coloring up Cyberfrog, and I'm like, that work looks real familiar. And then I'm like, holy shit, that's Kyle Ritter, man.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I love his
That is awesome. Yeah, he's amazing. I'm glad that you pointed out like the mad crazy swag that you have in that tier, man. That's unbelievable.
A fun little thing.
Yeah.
We just went up again. So we got another couple backers. So we're at 485.
Hell yeah.
504 backers, still 3 days left. So thanks you guys so much for that. I'm going to come back to you guys. So go ahead, Sim. What were you saying?
I was just going to say Kyle Ritter is one of the inspiration for my little one, Ellie, to decide to become a colorist. And she, as soon as she saw the Cyberfrog colors, right? She's always wanted to be an artist like me, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when she saw the colors, she goes, those are amazing. She goes, I want to be your colorist.
That's so cute.
Man. She started doing colors because of Kyle. And she
my God.
it. I'll show you a piece of hers. Like the first piece she colored, I'll show you after.
Please. Yeah.
Were those the back of the book art?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is the back. It's got a little write up of the book, just like all good graphic novels. The spine is really cool. Yeah. And then I just want to show you that all this stuff is done, you guys. So here's the trading card. Here's one of the patches.
The patch, dude. You gotta show a close up of the patch, because that's just badass. Look, check that out, people.
There's a little bit of detail going on here. Yeah,
that's sweet.
Oh, and I don't know if I got to show you guys on your show, but whoever backs Chrono will get this Chrono patch absolutely free. So we got these back from the patch people, our vendor.
I did not see that yesterday.
Yeah.
You
must have
gonna go crazy over this.
You must have a good resource for embroidery patches.
I was gonna ask, who do you go to have patches manufactured?
My wife handles all that, so I can get that for you guys and put that in the private chat if you want.
Cool.
But I also want to show off that the Chrono book is at the printer, so these are the proof copies. So I just want to show you that progress is being made. We got a little bit of delay. These were printed in RGB, which we didn't know at the time. And so we just found out recently that CMYK is the preferred. So somehow there were some wires crossed and RGB files were sent instead of the CMYK.
Yeah,
so it's all
the CYMK and the RGB, it's really like a difference between if you do digital printing or offset. Offset, they need CYMK. It's better. And for digital press, it's better with it digital.
Yeah, a digital press will sometimes request RGB because of the nature, but also digital presses will also be set to work with CMYK in a lot of cases because that's the kind of file they need. It's just because they're consistent, like everything they get in is CMYK. The logic being is real simple. RGB is a process of lights to use for color. So if you're looking at something that is actually lit, like backlit, like a computer screen or a television or whatever, that works on an RGB color model. And then if you're looking for something on paper, for something that reflects light, that's a CMYK color model. So
one of them is all colors make black, and the other one is all colors make white.
Excellent point, Simon.
So this
Art,
drink is educational and entertaining.
Art, I wanted to ask, how many of those RGBs comics did you get? Because I was thinking you could offer those as a bonus or something like that.
The black or the Chrono Mechanic Reject edition.
Yeah, absolutely. Dude, you're holding a collectible right now. You don't even know it.
Well, actually, we have 3 proofs, so you can see this is the first proof, and they printed it off, so it kind of cut off, like everything's a little like off the way they, I guess, when they cut the books. And if you look at it, it's weird because it's slightly smaller than the other.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how they even didn't catch this in the process. Like, why did this get sent to me? You know, it's clearly wrong, because even when you open it up, like the first page, look at it's like cut off right here.
Yeah.
You might want to work with a different printer next time.
No, this is Mix'em. This is everybody.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah, everybody uses Mix'em, but I think it's just a matter of getting on the same page. And
here's the thing: the proofs will never be web offset. So if you're actually doing your print on web offset, it won't be like the proof, because the proofs are digital. They're just one-offs, which means
So. Yeah, and that's why it took so long to figure out the CMYK problem as well, because my wife and I did tell them that the coloring was off, and they kept saying, well, it's because it's a digital one-off. It's not the offset printed version. That one will look different. And so we were thinking like, well, okay. But then we started pushing it because I don't want to get down to the wire, have thousands of these books printed up, and then go, well, guess what? This is wrong. So we kept pushing the point with them. And then they finally did look into it, and they were like, oh, yeah, these are RGB files. We need CMYK files. So, as soon as it's weird, you always got to find that one person that works at these companies, right? Because you're dealing with the one person, right? And they're like, yeah, everything's fine. And then, you keep bringing up problems. And they go, yeah, it's all fine. It's all this, that, or the other thing. And then there's that one person that sees like everything. And it's like, she gets on board. She goes, oh, yeah, well, I looked at the files. They're not CMYK. I mean, just like that. It happened that fast. And then
I actually like working with Mix'em because I always get a call from a guy named Simon over there. And he always, anytime that anything might possibly be a problem, you know what I mean? He calls me.
Yeah, we were dealing with Dave, and then I think we're dealing, is it Laura or Lori over there now? So Dave was good, but I think he's in sales. I don't think he does production work.
Hey, Art, could you share my screen for a sec? I found the image.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Cool.
So that's my 13-year-old coloring one of the image of Leatherhead.
Oh, cool. Hold on. Let me grab my glass.
That was our first time.
You know what's funny? I never like. Oh, cool.
Wow.
Beautiful.
That was her first coloring.
How old is she?
She's 13.
Dude, she's got a
No
future.
shit.
Do you want to see her art?
Yeah, absolutely.
This
Yeah.
is hers.
Oh, she's got a future. She's got a future. Big.
Oh yeah, she does.
Beautiful.
Like I'm saying that right now, and I got shivers and hair on my arm. Dude, she has a future.
Oh, that's
She's like-
fantastic.
Yeah.
You
Out
and
of the four, she's the one that wants to be like me. She wants to be an artist.
hell yeah. Hell yeah. Oh, dude, that must feel so good.
That's funny
Yeah.
because we got some symmetry going. I started the stream showing off my daughter's artwork.
But do you see the influence?
Yeah,
Of
of
Kyle.
course.
Yeah, it's cool.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, very good, man. That's awesome. And I just realized that maybe I should, nothing against you guys, but maybe I should show like this for a while, show some of the drawing.
Absolutely.
Of course.
It's live art, damn it. Like, you know, they don't do this at conventions anymore. They did when I was a kid, where you would have like an artist. It would be, you know, somebody like Walter Simonson, maybe Neil Adams, Mike Zeck. I remember seeing, you know, they would set their easels up and they'd be doing all, you know, they'd be illustrating, and you could come and peek right over their shoulder and watch them work.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't do that at conventions anymore. I don't know why.
One of the best things they did at one of the best things they did at Comic-Con here, like a few years back, was they had Ramita, Senior and Junior, right?
Oh, that's so cool.
Signing, right? And one of the things that they did is that they did a contest, son versus father.
Ah,
Dude, I was standing there with my kids, and I was like, I wish one day that's me, and I hope you kick my ass.
yeah.
I'm like, I
Yep.
hope one day it's us in there, me and one of my kids there, and I hope they kick my ass.
Yep. Yep.
I won't make it easy though.
No, of course not. But it's like that Japanese work ethic. Like in
Mhm.
Japanese culture, you're supposed to do what your father did, but you're not supposed to be just as good. You're actually supposed to be better.
Yeah, 'cause
And-
you're stepping off from everything he learned, so he's supposed to pass along everything he learned with his years, so you can have a little head up type of thing.
Wouldn't it be sad if you didn't aspire to that though? Like if you're like, I want you to be worse than me.
There's a really good documentary. I always recommend it to artists. It's called Jiro Dreams of Sushi. And it's about like the world's greatest sushi chef. He's considered a national treasure, like I think a living national treasure in Japan. Like they've given him like, you know, special honors and everything like that. His restaurant is in the basement of a it's in a subway station, and it seats maybe about 10 people. And it's considered like the greatest restaurant in the world because he's considered like the world's greatest sushi chef. And so his son wants to be, you know, a sushi chef too. But it's like, oh my God, it's like you have to be better than that guy. It's like Frank Frazetta's son, for instance, said that, you know, his father trained him, but he gave up art because he was just like, you know, those are like shoes that were too big to fill.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing that I thought was really beautiful about that documentary and how it applies to art and artists is the fact that these guys never stop trying to get better. They're never content.
Nope.
They're like Hokusai, you know, the guy who drew that very famous illustration of the wave.
Mm-hmm.
The Dream of the Fisherman's Wife, which is a very naughty piece. That's also very famous. That's by him. When he was like 83 or something like that, he said, if the heavens would just grant me 5 more years, I could become a real artist. And to me, it's like, that's where you should be. You don't want to be somebody that's just phoning it in.
Yep.
Well, I'm all about phoning things in and making it easy on myself. So.
Hey, well, dude, if it works for you, and it is working for you, so
You know, one of these days, I'm going to put some real effort into my life.
Hey,
Well,
I speaking of your life, I do have like serious like interview style questions for you, man. Like I really want to know like what was, because I haven't like stalked you to the point of like Googling and researching your whole life out. So I'm gonna ask questions. What was the first gig? What was
My
what
first,
was the first job? Yeah.
actually, I started with the independent. So I started working at Renegade Press, which is it is Denny Lobert's company, which was an offshoot of Aardvark Banheim, which was
wow, Dave Sim.
Dave Sim's company. Yeah, and Denny Lobert, I think, was married to Dave Sim. So I worked there. I worked with Jim Valentino on Normal Man, kind of assisting. And then Jim got work over at Apple Comics, which is the Wendy and Richard Pinney company.
Yeah.
And
I remember
so
them.
they're the ElfQuest people.
Yep.
And so I worked there for a year or so. And just like most independents, you get paid sporadically. And so we would always get our upfront money, to start the next book, but the back end money, like it was a weird situation. So they would give you upfront, and then off the sales, they would give you the rest of your money. And so, it's already kind of an iffy idea if you think about it. It's like, well, they have a little scapegoat right there that they can just go, oh, well, we didn't make that money for that month, so you're not going to get paid, which is what they did. And so we would always get our upfront, but then we weren't getting our back end money. And so I was out on my own. I needed to pay the rent. I needed to pay for, my car payment, insurance, all that other stuff. So I realized that Marvel and DC paid, and they paid on time. So I actually pursued Marvel and DC more out of practicality and survival than actually like, I really want to work at Marvel and DC, because I think for me, I like the independence. I like creating my own stuff. And so I also had some ideas that I was pitching to Renegade to do, create our own stuff. So that's kind of where my heart was and where I wanted to be. And then Marvel and DC it's kind of backwards what most people want. They want to work there, but I was more like, I want to work there because they pay, and they pay good, and they pay on time. Mm-hmm. And so that was kind of the idea there. And so Marvel, I got paid. Well, actually at Marvel, I got hired in as an inker, and then DC Comics, I got hired in as a penciler on the same day. So I went over to Marvel, showed my portfolio, and got work as an inker. And then I went over to DC on the same day and got work as a penciler. So
crazy.
Yeah, it's weird because there's a lot of people there was struggle, a lot of people's stories like that. But mine was kind of like, I just went to New York, showed them my portfolio, and got work,
Just skated right in.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't as easy as I'm making it sound, but
right.
It also wasn't like, it took me years to break in and stuff like that. My biggest faux pas or struggle was that, I met Jim Shooter here in California at a convention, and then he told me, I showed him my work, and he's like, oh yeah, this is good. You're not quite Marvel standards yet. He said, but we have this thing called a bullpen. And Johnny Ramita Sr., oversees it, and he can teach you. So if you come to New York City, you can work in the bullpen. So I was like, oh, okay.
Hell yeah.
And I'm a young, early 20s guy. And so I'm thinking, oh, okay. When he said this, that's it, right? I'll just go to New York City and take him up on his offer. And that's what I did. But I didn't call in advance. I didn't do anything. Like I didn't go, hey, Jim Shooter, remember me, from whatever convention? I didn't do that. I just worked real hard, saved up money for a plane ticket, and then flew to New York City. That's it. That was my that was
Wow.
my whole plan. And so I had met a guy named Craig Anderson prior to that. And Craig Anderson is the son of what's his name? Anderson that created Marmaduke.
I can't think
What's
of
that
it.
guy's? Something Anderson, obviously, but the Marmaduke comic strip. He's the son of that guy. And so it was San Diego Comic-Con, and Jim Valentino and myself let Craig Anderson stay with us one night.
Brad Anderson is the name that you're.
Brad, thank you. Yeah, Brad Anderson. So, so then this guy, Craig, just said, "Hey, Art, if there's anything I can do for you in the future, let me know." Yeah, well, say that to a starving artist. You know, they're definitely going to take you up on it. So I knew he had an apartment in New York City. So I asked him if I could stay there, you know, while I get situated working at Marvel or DC. So that's as far as my plan got. Like I had a place to stay, and this place to stay was in the middle of Hell's Kitchen. And
Wow.
this was actually Hell's Kitchen at the time. You know what I mean? Like now it's cleaned up, it's gentrified a little bit, but then it was like Daredevil Hell's Kitchen.
Yup.
Yeah. So anyways, so I had a place to stay, and so, you know, I just went into Marvel DC, and I went into, well, it was Marvel first. So I just marched into the Marvel building, and then the person at the and keep in mind, I'd never really been out of California. Like I'd never really traveled or anything like that. So this is like, I lived in just like, you know, just a normal urban neighborhood, you know, just concrete jungle kind of thing. You know, it's just a bunch of houses and, you know, track homes and stuff like that. So I'm in New York City, so this is crazy culture shock. I'd never seen anything like this before. And so I go up to the Marvel offices, and I'm talking to the person that's working the front desk. And so I ask her, I go, "I'm here to see Jim Shooter." And then she's like, "What's your name?" So I'm thinking, yeah, this is going great. And so I go, "It's RT Bear." And then she's like, "Oh, I don't show you here that you're supposed to meet with him." And then I'm like, "Well, you know," and then I tell her my sob story. Like, "Oh, I came from California, blah, blah, blah. And he said he would meet with me and whatever." So she's obviously starting to see like, oh, this is like a country bumpkin. This is a young kid that doesn't know what the hell's going on. So she just must have felt bad for me and let me in.
Cool.
Like, yeah, she let me in. She had no like I couldn't imagine anybody doing that these days with crazy security, but she let me in. So then I'm there. I'm just looking around. Somebody goes, "What are you here for?" I go, "To meet with Jim Shooter." So I'm just like really confident, like I'm here to meet Jim Shooter. So everybody's like, "Oh, well, Jim Shooter's office is over there." You know what I mean? So I'm thinking like, oh, this is all working. So then I get there. Jim Shooter has his personal assistant working, you know, in front of his office, her desk. And I said, "Oh, I'm here to see Jim Shooter." And she goes, "Oh, well, what's your name?" So she does the same thing. And then she says, "Well, I don't see you on the list here." And then I tell her my stupid story about meeting him at a convention. And he said, you know, "Just come down and you'll get this job in the bullpen." So then she's obviously, oh, this kid is just freaking nuts. Like, you know what I mean? Like this kid, he's just a country bumpkin. He has no idea what's going on. So I think she just felt really sorry for me. So she goes, "Well, I'll go talk to him." So then she goes in, talks to Jim Shooter, and then she comes back out, and then she says, "Jim doesn't remember you."
What? Oh, ow.
Yeah.
Ow.
So then I'm like, oh shit, this is not good. And so then I said, "Well, how could he not? You know, blah, blah, blah." So I'm just telling my truth, you know? And so then she goes, "Well, I tell you what, I'll go talk to him again." So I must have just been so freaking pathetic, right? Like I'm just like such a sad sack.
Well, I mean, look, they had a chance to help this kid that was obviously had some heart and actually dragged his ass, you know, all the way from California out there, you know. So you actually had some allies.
Yeah, so I probably went, I saved for months to get the ticket. And he said, you know, like he said, come out to, you know, New York City. So that's what I did. So, and you know what, that's pretty much what he said, but he didn't think, you know, this was going to be a naive kid, you know, that he's saying this to. that had no worldly skills, or life experiences. So then anyways, then she comes back out after talking to Jim, and she goes, well, he said he's got something for you. And I'm like, oh yeah, cool. What is it? And she goes, you can work as an intern. It's not quite the bullpen, but it's an intern. And I go, oh, cool. I go, how much does it pay? And then she's like, it's an internship. I go, yeah, how much? And then she goes, well, internships don't pay. And I'm like, that's not a fucking job. Like, it's not a job. How can you call this a job?
It's slavery. It's slavery. You're literally working for free.
Yeah, and so then she goes, yeah, but you'll be in the office every day, and you can make connections, and you can talk to people. And I said, okay, so what would I be doing? And then she said, well, you'll be handing out, like packages and work, like going down to the mail room and bringing stuff up to the editors and things like that. So I'm thinking that's not art related. So I did have enough self-confidence, and you know what I mean? Like that's not artist work. And so then
that's gopher work is what that is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So then I was really, really disheveled. And so then I went in to talk to Craig Anderson, and Craig Anderson was working at Marvel as an assistant editor, Ralph Macchio. And Ralph was always kind of a big editor ever since I remember.
Oh, yeah.
And so I'm in there, and he goes, well, you know what? He said, it's not done yet. He said, you got your portfolio there. You're in the Marvel offices. Go talk to editors. Just see what they have to say about your work. And so then I was like, okay, so you're fighting back the tears because you're getting rejected, and you're like, you did this stupid ass thing, so you feel really dumb. And so then I went and I talked to every editor, and I still remember like walking into Bob Harris's office, Ann Necente's, Carl Watts, all these like editors of the time.
Yeah.
And so they're all like, nope. And I remember Bob Harris, like he was just like, I guess he just wanted to connect on some kind of personal level. So he goes, yeah, I just got back from Europe. You want to see my vacation pictures? So he showed me his vacation pictures, and I'm like, I'll never get to go to Europe. I'm never going to work. So I'm thinking all this crap. And so then there was a friend of mine. His name's Art Nichols. And there was kind of a West Coast thing. There was Northern California, and then there was Southern California. So Southern California was like Jim Valentino, Rob Liefeld, Jim Lee, Will Spartasio, Scott Williams. And then Northern California was like this artist named Art Nichols and Arthur Adams. So we would kind of cross over at times, like doing these conventions. So I knew Art Adams before he broke into the business.
No shit.
Yeah, I knew all those guys before.
Big influence of mine, Art Adams.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. One of my favorites.
Yeah, he's brilliant. And so anyway, long story short, I meet Art Nichols in the Marvel offices, and he's got a portfolio, and I hadn't seen him in months. And I'm like, hey, what are you doing here? He goes, I'm a working professional now. And I'm like, holy shit, man, you made it. Like when you meet someone like that, you're like, oh my gosh, you made it. You're big time now.
Right.
So then he's like, yeah, I'm big time. And then he said, what are you doing? And I told him my sob story. And he said, well, I tell you what, I have some pages I need to drop off at DC Comics. You want to share a cab with me? And so then I was like, sure, that would be awesome. And so then I get in a cab, I go to DC, and it was exactly the opposite. Like DC, I remember talking to Bob Greenberger, and he was like, what do you want to do here? This stuff's great. And I was like, wow. What do you mean? What do I want to do here? Like, that's a loaded question to ask any artist, right? Like, well, like I want to do Superman. I want to do Batman. What do you think? And so I didn't really have an answer because I was just so dumbfounded. And also, like it's so weird if you go, yeah, I want to draw Batman. Like it's kind of arrogant. So I was just kind of played, like, well, what do you have to offer kind of thing. And so he had the Warlord, the Mike Grill character, the barbarian.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Classic. I love that character.
Yeah. So that's what I started at on that book as a penciler. So I got work as a penciler on Warlord. I actually followed Mike. No. I followed Dan Jurgens. I followed Dan Jurgens on that book. And then after my run, the Kubert brothers broke in on that book. So that must have been the book that like a lot of entry level guys were starting off on.
Yeah, it was never one of their bigger titles. It was like Warlord was like a D-list character, but still a great character. You know, very very pulpy, very Edgar Rice Burroughs.
Exactly. Yeah, very, very much so. And so, yeah, I drew that, and then, but this is the same day. I go back to the apartment in Hell's Kitchen, Craig Anderson's apartment. So Craig comes home from work at Marvel, and he said, "How did it go?" And I said, "Well, I got work at DC Comics as a penciler." And he's like, "Holy shit!" And then he said, "It's going to pale in comparison to what I got you." And I said, "What did you get me?" He goes, "I got you ink work here at Marvel." And so I was like, holy
shit.
Yeah, so I got ink work at Marvel and pencil work at DC on the same day.
Oh my God.
So
that started badass.
Yeah, it started off as the worst day of my life, and then it turned into one of the better days of my life.
Oh man. Well, you know what? Jim Shooter actually lives just a couple of miles from me. If you want me to go over and ring his doorbell and punch him in the dick for you, just let me know.
Punching in the dick is not necessary, but
okay.
But yeah,
maybe in the gut.
Maybe the gut. Well, he did crush me, but I did end up working at Marvel, and I did end up getting the Jim Shooter lecture that he gives to inkers and pencilers, and he's telling me never break a border panel, don't use Zipatone, it's a cheat. I forget what else he told me, but I remember the Zipatone thing, and I remember the don't break border panels. And then I do remember having kind of an argument with him. I said, "What do you mean don't break border panels?" He goes, that's a cheat. He said all storytelling should be within the border panels. He goes, because it breaks the illusion of the world. And I said, "What are you talking about?" He said, "Well, you don't see movies doing that."
Oh God!
They saw it like a film, like the regular film, like it's all the framing of a film. That's how they used to see it. Yeah.
Oh God! Yeah, and that's terrible because what you want to do in comics is you want to do things that can only be done in comics.
Mm-hmm. Well, Brian, wait, I'm just when people
didn't comics originate from storyboard art? I mean, I thought that original movie storyboards.
Actually, it's the other way around. The storyboard was something that came after to save money in production and filming because they didn't used to use it before. Well, you have to go on scene and use what they do with their fingers there. Oh yeah, we're gonna shoot there. Then after that, they realized that they should use storyboards.
Yep. Yeah, so they would recruit comic book artists since they were naturals for it,
including Mobius and all those people.
Oh my God, Mike Plug.
But hold on. Comic books came from comic strips. So if you want the origin of comic books, comics came from comic strips. So what a brilliant publisher thought of is we can compile comic strips into a book, into a magazine. So that's how comic books came into fashion.
And I think the first comic character was the Yellow Kid. And wasn't he an advertising character?
Possibly, yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, that's one of the things that's so sad about the downfall of the American comic book industry is this is an art form that was created here. I think there's 5 art forms that were created in the United States, and I think it's jazz, comic books, banjo music, and I forget what the other 2 are.
It's pornography.
Dude, well, it goes Pompeii. That's all I'm saying. Oh my God, have you ever seen the frescoes there? I mean, explicit hardcore porn on the walls of houses. When the Victorian English basically dug up Pompeii, they just found tons and tons and tons of classical pornography.
Why not? Right?
It was a party town. It was sort of the Las Vegas of the classical world. So.
Oh hell yeah, yeah. So go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to derail it with my stupid joke.
No, dude.
Yeah, I have a question though for you.
Oh, go
type
ahead.
of brush do you use? Because I'm shopping because I'm going back to doing traditional more, and I'm shopping for brushes. I'm like, do you have an advice?
This brush right here that I'm using, hold on, let me clean it up a little bit. This is a Winsor Newton Series 7 watercolor brush, and the tip is a number 2. So it's a number 2 in size. So these are pretty good. Somebody told me that they're a little harder to find these days.
Mm-hmm.
They said the Raphaels are easier to find. I used to not like Raphael too much as a brush, but I'm actually starting to come around to it. I think that they may be, at least contemporarily speaking, they may be a better brush than even Winsor Newton. So I kind of use both, but I use both kind of out of necessity because sometimes when I can't get a Winsor Newton brush, I'll buy the Raphaels.
Because right now, I've been using like markers and the pen, and there's the brush pens, but I've been meaning to get back into ink brush.
Yeah,
Hey, Simon, where's my vampire book?
So on this way, I'm packaging.
Oh hell yeah! And I think
I'm sending the first. I'm sending the bulk order tomorrow or Friday.
oh hell yeah!
And after that, I have the rest of the international and.
Oh,
and
congratulations, man! There's nothing like I was saying to Drew before. There's nothing like opening your front door and just seeing those boxes there.
And that's one of the things that I'm trying to do, because that shipping now just here to the US takes 2.5 months.
Yeah.
For a book.
Yeah, I've heard that. Yeah. It's insane.
And everything is. So I found out that by bulk shipping, though, I can prioritize and have it there in 2 days.
Oh, really?
So
awesome.
It's gonna cost me a bit more because I have to pay like shipping to the States express, right?
Mm-hmm.
But after that, I pay the US shipping too.
Got it.
You're gonna get them in 2 weeks instead of 2 months.
What's the book?
It's a Blood Hunt. It's the book. My book.
And it looks spectacular. I absolutely can't wait to read it.
There you
You roboted it out there.
There you go. Blood Hunt. I'm showing it right now.
Okay, hold on. Let me put down my brush.
Let me take it out of the plastic.
I need my glasses.
Oh,
Okay.
dude, Simon, you literally just ripped that out of the plastic.
Yeah.
Oh hell yeah! Nice and fresh, sweet.
Yeah,
and
like
clean.
I'm telling you, I packed them all with their tiers and everything. You got the sticker
Nice.
there. So this is the original cover.
Oh, cool.
Color, and this is what I was telling you. Okay, I tested the printing. I did the CYMK and the RGB, but the digital press, they have something called an adapter thing, and they put a 10% light in it, and it came out the same thing as the CYMK, except the color were more saturated. So the purple was more purple, the blue, as you see here, more blue than the CYMK.
Oh, that's very cool.
Yeah, it looks
This is the
fantastic.
back cover.
Nice.
And hold on, this is the presentation. You have a nice little.
Oh, that's so great.
Effect.
Yeah.
Credit.
Simon is a master of negative space. Right?
That's so negative of you, Brian.
Hold on, I'll show a page from inside, but I'm going to show something I can show without any issue.
Yeah, we don't want issues.
Well, we don't get zapped like Fraga.
Get in there.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh hell yeah! Oh, this looks like so much fun.
The enriched black printing is totally worth it. Look how that reflection on the black.
Oh yeah, man.
Yeah, that's sweet, man.
That's so cool.
It cost me an extra $400, but it's totally freaking worth it.
Hey, Sim, or is it Simon or Sim? What should I call you?
Sim.
Sim, hold the book back up. I want to see it again. It's the bottom of the page. Are those numbers? There's like this little artwork that's on the bottom of each one of the pages. Are those numbers?
Yep. It's the page number. And as you see, it's like a Gothic P type.
Oh, cool. Yeah, nice design element. Yeah, I love stuff like that.
Oh, sharp eye art. I didn't see that. I didn't even spot that.
Another thing that we did is, hold on, when there's narration, right, for that character, the main characters, they have a logo that follows in the narration box. You see the little skull there?
Oh,
yeah.
So you know it's nice. A character. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, that's really good stuff, my friend.
It's when I was helping my bro to up his game, his lettering, because that's my brother doing the lettering.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I was telling him, like, I was really putting the emphasis of what they used to do before, like storytelling with lettering. Like you use the way you're gonna do your letter. You're gonna change this. Like right now, you're gonna see like the story's gonna start right. The speech bubble for Vincent, they're black, they're white, but when he turns into a vampire, they're black. And there's a point where he's like, "What the fuck's wrong with my voice?"
Once again, doing things in comics that can only be done in comics.
Right.
You got to find out what those things are. Every medium has certain things you can only do in that medium.
Yeah. I'm going to read some of these. This is going back a little bit in what we were talking about, but Wolverine says comics came out of reprints of newspaper strips. Yeah, definitely. That's what we were talking about. And then Pedro says storyboards and film started with Snow White. So another Disney creation right there, the multiplane camera and storyboards. So there you go.
I thought I knew that storyboards and started with cartoons versus movies, but I was doing a little bit of research here on Wikipedia about the comic strip and a couple other resources about how it all started. And apparently, comic strips were very rudimentary, way of telling stories that goes way back. And then like the first ones were like in 1820s.
Yeah, but dude, you have comic book historians saying that the first comic was made by a caveman.
Right,
well,
exactly.
And some people in the chat would say that caveman is me.
Well, this actually says the first comic book was created in the first comic book was created in 1839. So
yeah. Hey, let me. I just saw something. I'm going to share the campaign again. I think we just got a major spikeage.
Oh, nice. Hell yeah!
Sweet.
Yeah. As for Blood Hunt
Brian,
people,
we're gonna have to leave soon.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, we're gonna do CG Bidet.
Yeah, we're talking about Heavy Metal Magazine today.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
We'll get into that after this. So right now we're at 30,485. We have 504 backers. Boom! Hit the refresh.
Booyah!
Hit the refresh. 80
2 more backers.
Yeah, so it's 30,841. We have a good chance of doing 31K by day's end. So thank you guys so much. We are winding down this campaign, so there's only 3 days left. Black and White Volume 1 Second Chance. And make sure you come by and pick this up as a poster print. That's going to look good on everybody's wall. And all the books and all the tiers come with a trading card, which is also based on this piece of artwork right here. So we have all kinds of cool tiers. The highlights are, we have the Vampirella Black and White commemorative cover. We have the Great Capullo Virgin cover. And we have all these cool stretch goal add-ons right here.
The swag. Swag.
Yeah, so you guys come by, check it out. The link is in the description. We have original artwork here. We have you can get me to draw for you guys. I can draw this black and white, these kooky characters for you. If you get the killer bot tier, you get everything plus the stretch goal goodies. You can also get the stretch goal goodies as an add-on. You can get the Great Capullo Virgin as an add-on, and you can get the drawing as an add-on. So thank you guys so much for all the support. You guys are the best. Comicsgate rocks. Thanks to everybody. For all the support, man.
It's like Simon says it the best. He says that CG I left myself open for that one for sure. but yeah, no. Like my man Sim says, CG is a 24-hour a day.
24/7.
24/7 Comic-Con.
Yeah.
It's such a wonderful community of
and it's like
Hyper Kaiju, dude. I love your icon.
And the giant con is connected to all our studios, so it's technically giving you access to all our studio where like Kirby used to be. Everybody could just drop by and go see him. This is what we're living. This is what
I know.
You have the access to. It's like we can chill with Art Tiber. We can
I
chill
know.
with Fraga.
I know. Oh God, it's so cool. It's so cool. I just feel privileged being a part of this group. I just had to point out Hyper Kaiju's icon is the Japanese King Kong, who I have a special affection for, because he looks like King Kong if King Kong had been born like with I don't know, like Down syndrome or something.
How dare you?
It's not me. It's blame
You know,
Hiroshiro Honda, the guy who directed King Kong versus Godzilla.
Michael
He looks
Kushi,
special,
like
is what I'm saying.
SDCC, SDCC equals social distancing Comic Con. There you go.
In defense of people with Down syndrome, some of the nicest people I've ever met in my whole life have had Down syndrome.
Oh, me too.
So.
Me too. I'm not making fun of people with Down syndrome. Believe me. I'm not that cold-hearted. I'm not that on PC.
Yeah, not yet, Brian. I think Drew was trying to keep you on the straight and narrow there.
Well, I do. Well, I always say I'm in dire need of adult supervision. That's just the sad truth.
There you go.
Max Santiago in the chat asks, Art, do you know Kurt Busiek?
Do I know Kurt Busiek? Yes.
What's up with him, man? What is up with that guy right now?
Yeah, he knows this is a loaded question. He definitely wants to hear me answer. Okay, so I worked with Kurt a couple times. I think he's a brilliant artist. I think he tends to get a little too heady sometimes for his own good. So his type of writing I do like a lot, but it definitely is something that I have to be in the mood for, because it gets pretty detailed and heady. But so I'm just kind of minding my own business. This is the first black and white campaign, and then somebody sends me this link, and it's like, did you know that Kurt Busiek is saying, calling you racist? And I said,
oh God.
I said, no, I didn't. And then so he sends it to me, and then it says that that Art Bear black and white is racist, and then he says the reason it's racist is because the black character is not African American. So that's his idea of racism. And
God,
I always thought, like, if I was to make black like African American, that would be racist, like
yeah, but that's the thing, is that they end up being the real racists in the end.
Absolutely.
It's like I was raised by, you do not judge a man or a woman by the color of their paint job.
Yep.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. It's the engine under it. It's like it's not the color of your skin that matters, or what you have between your legs. It's who the fuck you are.
Yeah. There's only one species of human being.
Sorry about the swear.
No, it's good. It's okay.
God, that's so disappointing to hear. He was a real dick to me on the Twitter, and as a writer, absolutely brilliant. His work on Astro City, for instance, spectacular.
Dude, it's like Mark Waid. I'm not a big fan of the guy, right? But he wrote two really good books. Like, he wrote that Kingdom Come that
Kingdom
I really
Come.
did like. But my favorite one was the Hunter Killer that he did with Marcel Schrader. Before he came in.
Yeah.
Dude, I love that. I love that series. It was amazing.
Yeah. His run on Captain America was also really good.
But the guy ain't so.
Yeah. Well, you have to separate the art from the artist.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, the
It's
thing
like
is,
you can like the person and not like his art.
A lot of people
Absolutely.
A lot of people misunderstand some of the basics of like just general society for some reason. I don't understand why that is, but like you said, you don't judge somebody, by the color of their skin, by their reputation, by their class in life. You don't prejudge people, because that makes you a bigot, And
reputation depends what it is, though. But that's what we're trying.
Reputation is different.
That's
not, you don't. Yeah, it's obviously classifying somebody before you know anything about them. You know what I mean? That's what I'm talking about. That makes you a bigot. But the thing that blows my mind is that we are in we're in 2020. You know what I mean? This is 2020. This is like
the far-flung future.
60 years past the 60s.
Yep.
You know what I mean? When we had the social revolution in the 60s, and then which really was visible in the 70s, but kind of died back in the 80s and 90s. You know what I mean? There was like a lot of division in the 80s and 90s between the races, which I think kind of led to the re-rise of all this racism BS.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the truth,
It's super disheartening.
Yeah, the truth of the matter is real
I don't
simple.
know. Me here and on my side of the place, the 80s and 90s, racism was
Well,
not
you know,
a thing.
we're not talking about you. We're talking about real America.
I'm not talking about Canuckistan.
I agree with them though. Like the 80s, like I thought like the 80s were the decade of the homosexual. Like if you watch
Yeah.
80s and 90s, you look at like MTV. I thought like that was kind of the height of everybody getting along. Like it,
Right.
it seemed like everything
Dude,
was
just
a go.
Just look at the old series. Look at the old movies. There was more diversity in freaking Starship Troopers than all the movies there is now.
Yeah.
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 Just think about it. And remember Tootsie?
Of course.
Well, I remember the 70s being like extremely diverse. Like if you were black or white or Mexican or Asian or whatever, and it didn't matter. You know what I mean? Like you like everybody would go watch Car Wash. You know what I mean?
Yep.
You didn't have to be black. You didn't have to. It wasn't a black movie. They had black exploitation as a term because there wasn't a racist term. It wasn't a racist thing. If you tried to pull that off nowadays, fresh. You know what I mean?
Way.
They'd be like, "Oh no. You know what I mean?" So it's like understanding there were differences. You know what I mean? Was how it was. It wasn't like, you know, like, okay, well, you're over there and we're over here because we're different. You know what I mean? It was like,
I think also like it was like Car Wash and stuff. It was celebrating the differences. You know, like Car Wash was like, yeah, you almost wanted to work at the car wash. You know, like they were singing, there was dancing, there was like
Car Wash.
Yeah, but Car Wash wasn't just. I mean, it was a diverse movie. I mean, there was white.
Had Richard Pryor in there, Professor Erwin Corey.
You know,
I don't know what he was a professor of, but
and especially in the 70s, there were a lot of movies that were you know, like total mixed cast. I mean, not just like one or two black guys, but like we'd have like, you know, two black guys as leads. You know what I mean? And then a bunch of other, and then there'd be a lot of white guys too, and there'd be Puerto Ricans, and there'd be it would be diverse. You know what I mean? Across the board. And it's like I'm just saying those kind of movies faded back in the 80s. Like as the 80s progressed, the beginning part of the 80s, they were there. But as the 80s progressed to the 90s, those kinds of movies faded back, and it was more like, you know, these are your movies and these are our movies in the 80s.
Yes,
and then in the 90s it was a little bit like that. And then, you know, they tried to do a lot of like forced diversity is when it started. I remember in the 90s, and then the 2000s, it was kind of like just what it was, you know. Now
2000s, it seemed like it was very apparent. Yeah.
And then you know, 2008, I would say that you know, the in the 70s, the homosexual revolution, I kind of think started then. You know what I mean? And that's because,
when gay libs started. As far as I like, even as a kid, I remember seeing it like in Mad Magazine and
then the AIDS scare pushed that back.
Yeah, sure did.
You know what I mean? And the AIDS scare pushed that back. And then Proposition 8 in here from California, Proposition 8 led to it coming back into full force, and then the gay movement becoming a real movement. And now it's kind of like, you know, now there's like gay lobbyist firms and like it's I mean, it's over the top where they're you know, they're trying to interject, you know, like gay propaganda into everything now. And it's like, whoa, you know, hey, it's like, wait. It's fine that you're gay, but don't force it on me. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm not trying to force, you know, whatever my lifestyle is on you. Don't force yours on me. You know what I mean?
Well, it's not a lifestyle, though, Drew. It's not a llifestyle. I mean, I do believe people are born gay. I mean, I remember, you know, having a friend who was gay. Everybody, and trust me, everybody knew that this cat was gay in like 6th grade. It was just obvious. So
I believe that personally. I believe that as human beings, almost every characteristic and understanding and cultural choice we make is something that we develop in our life. You know what I mean? Now there are some things that are genetic that we can't get around, you know what I mean? But everything else is a learned trait at some point somewhere.
That's it, Drew. I'm going to cancel you. I'm going to cancel you.
Cancel me.
You
Cancel me.
You tried to cancel me before for like the special King Kong thing. So, well, you know what? Our cancellations just like canceled each other.
Well,
Darn
Brian,
it.
I just have to override you. The only one that can cancel anybody on this show is me.
Oh, there you go. There's no Whisper Networks here.
Yeah.
Well,
No, I don't.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Don't anybody get me wrong. I honestly don't give a shit if you're.
I
gay
know.
or
I'm just
straight
busting
or
your
whatever.
balls, dude.
But I kind of like look at I kind of analyze how this stuff happens in society, and just to kind of like get my own understanding of it.
You know what, Drew? You know what, Drew? It doesn't make a difference if you're black or white. I'm just saying.
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't matter
if you're black or white. Art, I'm afraid. I apologize, but Simon and I are gonna have to boogie.
Yes.
Well, go boogie at the car wash, man.
Dude,
It's gonna be heavy and metal.
Yes.
Looking at the car wash.
I feel terrible because I feel like I squandered this time that we had with you because I was gonna try to get all this dirt out of you.
Actually, that was I had a lot of questions for him too, and you guys just digressed off the map.
I know.
You guys can come with us if you want.
Well, like I said, I need to be managed.
Actually, I thought you told me to come on to the show.
Yeah,
Thought Captain.
You're invited
anyway,
too.
So yeah.
But I don't want to leave Art alone.
No, that wouldn't be right.
Well, I'm almost done here, so yeah, if you guys want to boogie, that's fine. Let me go back to you guys so I can say a proper later.
Oh, that looks gorgeous, man.
And by
That's
the way,
amazing.
You're belting these out.
If you want to drop by for the show of Heavy Metal, you're more than welcome.
Yeah, we're
Right?
gonna be talking
more than
French
welcome.
comics.
Heavy Metal was a labor, well, not a labor of love. It was a love of mine as a youth, and it's one of those books that I actually did send samples to. Like, I wanted to work for that magazine.
Mhm.
Oh, dude, you should definitely drop in. Yeah, I mean, your invitation extended. Don't worry if you decline. That's cool as well. But yeah,
it's funny because I was rejected in the day, but then God, a couple years ago, they actually wanted me to do a series of stories or something like that for them. And then they told me how much money they were willing to pay me, and I said no.
Is this when Kevin Eastman was editor?
It's because they don't pay a page rate. They pay a type of flat fee for just say you offer a 6-page or a 12-page. There's a flat fee because technically they don't have priority on nothing. So you can actually take a few pages of your 6-gun gorilla and submit it there.
Yeah.
Oh, I should do that.
I think this was they wanted me to work with somebody. It wasn't my own IP. I forget what the details of it were, but yeah, maybe I'll stop by and I can talk about that stuff on your show.
Righteous.
Yeah.
Righteous.
I'll drop the link for you, and you drop by if you can.
Sounds good.
I will be honored.
You too, Drew.
Yeah.
All right.
Me a link, I'll pop my head in.
Audi 5,000 CG
So,
for life.
Later, and thank you again, Art, for having me on. It's a pleasure getting to know you.
Yes,
no problem, guys. Thank you so much. It felt like this 2 hours or so was only 15 minutes, and
I know
had a drawing string go so quickly. So thank you guys for helping entertain the troops here in the chat, and go have a good show, man. Heavy Metal. What's the channel?
It's Simon Sympathy. It's under my channel.
Simon's.
Okay. Well, very good, guys.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us on, Art. And like Simon said, it's a pleasure getting to know you, brother.
Like Simon says.
Simon.
Yeah, I love that. I love that line, dude.
That sexy mother effer.
There has to be a plus to being named Simon, right?
Hell yeah.
You know what, you guys, this was a success. We'll do it again, man. So I do appreciate you guys. Go break the leg.
Rock and roll, man.
Yeah.
Rock and roll.
Later.
Hey, peace out.
Hey, before you end the stream, it gives me an opportunity to ask you about the transition from Marvel to Image. I've been wanting to ask about that. So I'm curious, like you were working at Marvel right before Image, is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So what were you working on at Marvel before you left?
I was inking Jim Lee's X-Men, well, doing finishes, and then I penciled and inked 2 issues after Jim left. So I think that's 12 and 13. And then I worked on the ongoing Cable series with Fabian Nicieza.
Mm-hmm.
So from there, I went over to Image. So I do remember working on Cable while working out of Extreme Studios, like the offices there. And right. I do remember, Rob Liefeld, who created the character, co-created the character, would come in and always check, what I was doing because, he obviously had interest because it was, a character that he created. And then I think it was issue 3 or 4. He was like, let me lay out some of the pages. And I was like, well, let me run it by Bob Harris. And so we ran it by Bob Harris, and he laid out like 8 pages or something like that from that issue. I think it was issue 4 of Cable. So that was pretty neat.
So what was your favorite part of my camera keeps doing weird things. I got this new webcam. They asked me to review it, and like I gave it a good review, and all of a sudden now it's like tweaking out and switching cameras on me. Let me put my other one up.
That always happens.
Yeah, right after I submit my review, it just starts wonking, right?
And of course, it was a favorable review.
Yeah, of course it was. Exactly.
Yeah, you put your reputation on the line, and then
it's like one of those things where, you just can't always count on something to work the same way, But
yeah, actually, like this Logitech that I have, it's a great camera, but for some reason it never holds the settings. So before every show, I have to reset everything, which is really a pain in the butt and kind of bizarre.
Yeah. StreamYard does weird stuff once in a while too, but like
what you see in the camera program and what StreamYard airs is it's different. It's a lot of times it's completely different.
Right.
The focus, the colors, everything.
I've noticed that on the playback sometimes. It's like I'll see something on my end, and then when I watch it back, it's like different. I'm like, really?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So okay. So what was the first thing you worked on when you got to Image, as far as core Image?
I worked on
Extreme Comics at the time, right? So
actually, the reason what was originally offered to me was not Wildcat. It was Cyber Force with Mark Silvestri, and then it was Wetworks with Will Spartaccio. And so I remember, I don't know what happened between Mark Silvestri and myself. Like everything was a go. And then I remember just nothing, like no follow-up, no nothing. And then the next thing I know, Mark is inking himself on Cyberforce.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know really what happened there. I don't know if because I know that he was kind of trying to woo me over to work on the book. I said I would work on the book, and I was slated to do it, but then I started working out of Rob Liefeld's Extreme Studios. So I don't know if that had something to do with it. Like maybe he felt like I wasn't loyal to him or something. I don't really know, but there was a lot of weird stuff going on in the early Image days. And so then Will's on Wetworks was a go, but Will's had some family problems. There was a death in the family, so he ended up not putting out Wetworks for that first year or so. So then I was kind of left holding the bag. Like I didn't have Cyberforce and I didn't have, Wetworks. So then, I just started working on various covers over at Extreme Studios, penciling and doing covers. And then Rob said, it feels like you want to do your own thing. And so he offered me a spot to do a create your own book, which was black and white.
Well, that's great. So that's the where Black and White was first birthed then, huh?
Yeah, it was out of the halls of Extreme Studios, and I do remember telling Rob, like, Rob's like, so what are you going to call the book? And I go, it's Black and White. He goes, like the Jackson song. I like it.
So was it around? It was around that same time then when one of what was the name of that album? That was the same one where he was during the. I have like senility kicking in already. What was that? What was that song on that album? Not on that album, but prior to that album, he did that was the one with Stevie Wonder and.
Oh, the Ebony and Ivory. I don't know what.
No. The one where it was Ebony Ivory. It was Paul McCartney. But I'm talking about the Feed the Children, Save the World one. That one.
USA for Africa.
Yeah. What was the name of that song? I'm trying to think of. You think that would be something that would be easy to remember. You know what I mean? Because it's like I'm gonna feel like an idiot when I Google it, and it's like.
I remember the British one. That was like "Feed the World, Do They Know It's Christmas Time" or something like that, right?
Something like that. And then they did a lot of like jokes off of it. You know what I mean? There was "We Are the World." That's what it's called.
How could we have forgotten that?
I don't know. I mean, because it's like now that I know the title, I can totally hear it in my head. We are the world. You know, they never made fun of it.
Doesn't it go, "We are the world, we molest the children"?
I think it says "We are the children," but that's probably like one of the jokes. Is where.
Well, it was written by Michael Jackson, so.
Yeah, it's that whole Jackson scandal thing. You know, it's like the truth will never come out, and now like he's dead, he can't even defend himself.
I think the truth did come out. Those guys actually said that they were molested, and I think there's enough evidence that show. I believe that he did. He did molest children, because I mean, if you look at just like basic pedophile, like what they call those, where they check out their background, like this is like standard fare for the way pedophiles operate. He fits every checkbox. You know, like he doesn't have the ice cream truck or whatever, but he does have Neverland Ranch. You know,
right.
I
mean, the reason why, I mean, obviously he doesn't fit like the normal profile of a pedophile. You know what I mean?
Think he does. It's
well, no, I mean, because his
Uber.
Well, because of the eccentricities that accompany his lack of reality, you know what I mean, is something that the typical pedophile wouldn't have, you know what I mean?
Right.
So he actually, and then so like what they were saying about Michael, I don't know either way, you know what I mean? I have I could see it going either way, you know what I mean? But people who had relationships with him, you know, said that he was just not a sexual person. You know what I mean? Like he just didn't care about sex at all. So it's
with adult females.
Well, yeah, I guess. But I mean, like, you know, there's also like Macaulay Culkin, who, you know, like said that nothing, not even a hint of anything. You know what I mean? So
but then there's what's his Corey Feldman that says like he was full on molested by that guy.
Yeah, but Corey Feldman would definitely would you know, he's kind of like if you know you're in LA, you've probably, you know, the LA general area, you've probably heard a lot about how Corey Feldman is, you know, will say and do anything for attention. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like I kind of look at all these things together. You know what I mean? It's just like I could see where a lot of people are just trying to, like, you know, could be just trying to exploit, you know, the Jackson legacy to get, you know, to get notice of some kind, to become somewhat relevant. You know, where I'm not saying it is that. I'm just saying I can see that being a factor. You know, so it's.
Yeah, I definitely think that Michael Jackson doesn't make a strong case for, you know, him not to be that, because I mean, there are, like, if you do all the check boxes, he fits all the categories of pretty much it
did go to court. You know what I mean? It did. Yeah.
There were 2 trials.
Right. And he won both. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's like, what can you, when you can you, I mean, actually, I think he ended the first one by settling to shut everybody up, but the second one he fought to prove that he was innocent, and then they, you know what I mean? And so it's, but the thing is like, I don't know. I mean, I could suspect, I could be suspicious, but there really is no like concrete evidence. It's just, somebody's saying something now, you know what I mean? When, they can't be sued for it anymore. You know what I mean? So it's, and before Michael passed away, you know what I mean? Everybody who came at him, you know what I mean, eventually backed down or said, I was not really telling the truth, and it's not like Michael was threatening or had like, violence threatened at anybody. There was no rumors of, like Michael Jackson ruining people's lives. You know what I mean? So it's like when I look at all of that big picture, I kind of like, I still have reasonable doubt, you might say.
Yeah, I can see reasonable doubt, but to be honest, like I used to feel the same way, but there's just too damn many coincidences and too many check boxes that are against him. And I do think that powerful people, the same rules do not apply as they do to us. So I think if this was a normal, like, oh, it's just that weird whatever guy down the street that has a ice cream truck that the kids hang out with a little bit too long and to spend too much time with, like that type of thing, that guy he would have been put behind bars in a heartbeat,
in most cases he was. In most cases, that guy with the ice cream truck was.
Yeah, I mean? But then you think like, well, the Jackson scenario is really similar. To me, it's just done on such a grand scale. And then you hear about how he actually wooed the parents. Like he would get them expensive tickets to whatever musical. He would buy them cars. He actually was paying parents off so that they would drop their kids off with him at the Neverland Ranch, because the parents weren't really allowed to stay there. So he tried to kind of get rid of, the parents from the equation. So, the grooming is thrown around a lot these days. So, I mean, in essence, he was kind of grooming the parents so that he could spend time with the children. I do want to believe that he was like all about kids and, and all that PR stuff, but I don't know, man. It's too much weirdness going on.
What was that? That was a Star Wars Cantina song as my ringtone going on there.
Okay. Yeah. How did we get on the Michael Jackson thing?
We Are the World, I think, is how.
Oh yeah, We Are the World. Yeah, brilliant song. No, it's not. It's pretty annoying. It's right up there with It's a Small World.
Right. That's one of those songs that will haunt you. Let's see. I was engaged to be married recently. We did call it off, but we went to Disneyland together with her kids, and that song, It's a Small World, probably got sung about 10,000 times on the car ride home.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. And that led to the relationship not working out.
No, that's not why. But I can always use it as an excuse and people believe it.
I think it sounds good. It sounds good.
Yeah. So, okay, I have another question for you. What was your favorite thing working on at Marvel?
I liked Cable a lot because I had creative freedom to do stuff and to create that kind of Cable's world, because I think it's the first time you really got to see Cable's timeline in those stories. And so I got to create a bunch of, supporting cast. I think Cable's either wife or girlfriend. It was a long time ago. Mm-hmm. I got to come up with, and there was a lot of stuff. So I think Cable was probably the high point. I really liked that. And I liked working with Art Adams and Walter Simonson a lot.
What about over at DC? What did you work on over there that was just amazing?
I think DC, I got to do a bunch of Superman like action cover. No, it was action actually. Yeah, covers that I got to pencil and ink. So I thought that was really cool.
That makes me want to Google Art T Bear Superman covers.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Like, what keeps coming to mind is the Superman run that I did with Dan Jurgens. So I would probably have to say this time I spent in the Superman office with all those guys was probably the high point.
Well, that's kind of amazing because Superman is actually my favorite comic of all time.
Oh, that's cool, man.
Yeah, people always like ask, what's your favorite hero? It's that kind of stuff. I was always Superman. The way that like a lot of people like will talk about the cartoon, they'll talk about the movies. But I have memories of Superman prior to the movie and prior to the cartoon because of the comic. You know what I mean? I even had like those little what do you call them? Those little color things where you know they're like little cutouts and you put them on the little patterns. Color forms, yeah. You know, before there was the cartoon, you know what I mean? So it was all based on the actual comics of those times. And Lex Luthor was he was still like a real bad guy.
Yeah, you know what I liked? I thought that All-Star Superman kind of got back to the Superman of my youth when it was way more sci-fi, and they were like really fun. Like there was more fun in the concepts and the ideas. So like there would be, I guess by today's standards would be considered, oh, it's absurd or whatever. But I liked that where it was just kind of like almost anything could happen in a Superman comic. You know, like you got this sense that everything was on the table. Like he could time travel, he could go out to space, he could do just about anything. And I do remember when I started working on the Superman book professionally, all the conversations were like, Superman's too powerful, he's boring. And I was like, no, that's kind of the cool thing I liked when I was a kid, is that he could do all this stuff, you know?
Right.
Like I never thought like, oh, well, he's not interesting because he does too much. I was like, he's interesting because he does all this crazy shit, you know?
Superman was like most interesting to me because he was well, obviously he had a full range to him. He was not of this earth, but he was the best of us from here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was kind of like one of those things where he could look at us from the outside, and then he chose to continue to be one of us. I mean, he could have gone somewhere else. He could have done something else if he had wanted to. He could have been somebody who hated humanity. Instead, he chose to love humanity, and in a way martyr himself as a servant of humanity. You know what I mean? So
yeah, I thought that was always cool, and that's why the whole Kent thing is important. You know, that he was raised in Middle America by the Kents.
I'm looking at some of these covers, by the way, man.
Christian. They probably were Christian and not Jewish, but anyway.
Yeah, the Kents actually, in fact, there was a lot of. I remember reading it when I was younger. There was a lot of church-related stuff to the Kents, but it wasn't like in your face kind of thing. It was more like church lessons, but like on the farm.
Yeah, or they're just coming from the church on Sunday.
Right. Yeah, they were often coming home from church or going, or like that kind of stuff. I'm trying to think of like an actual like reference. I mean, I've read so many and they don't always stick in strong. These covers are amazing, man. I've seen some of these before and did not know they were yours.
Do you have some of them? Can I share?
I don't have my comic books here in the house. My boxes of comic books are in the.
Oh, I thought you were looking at the.
No, I'm looking at I'm looking at I'm on a Google search on my.
Well, you can share that.
Well,
unless you don't want to, it's okay.
Well, it's not that I don't want to. It's just that I would. Let me see here. Let me click a couple links here because that was that was on my other computer. So.
Oh, you got multiple computers.
Yeah. I don't usually run video on the same computer that I'm surfing the net on because of the load. I already have issues like choking out my video.
Yeah, I would like to eventually get into like a multi-camera setup and multi-screen, so I can have other tabs open.
Yeah, you don't have to add. If you saw me pop into the back room, don't add me, but you can add the screen. When I get it here. Boom.
You can add it through the screen share. Oh, is that it there?
Yeah.
Okay.
You don't have to add the character. You can just add you know what I mean? There's like another face of me there. You see what I'm saying? So.
I see. Okay, let's see if I click on this, add to stream. Oh, there's some of the covers. Yeah. Well, there's that first piece. Oh, there it is. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. And then the next one with Guy Gardner and the Justice League, those are Dan Jurgens pencils or breakdowns, and those are my finishes. That first one was my pencils and inks.
This is your pencils and inks right here?
Yeah, yeah. And I think that one on the second tier, third book over, where it's got the Washington Monument, those are my pencils and inks.
Sweet. Yeah,
that one. And then the one right next to it are my pencils and inks too. I think I did that cover. Yeah, it's right next to the one that you just clicked on. Yeah, that one.
The black and white one here, right?
Yeah, it's the black and white piece.
Yeah.
So those are the pencils and inks. I'm looking at I think that's it as far as those tiers. If you scroll down, maybe there's more. I did the cover work for about a year where I penciled and inked. So I was working with Jim Lee when I was doing those covers, working on the X books. Oh, there's the wedding.
Yeah, your name is on this one. That's like the Fantastic Four and Superman.
Yeah, it was the big Marvel DC crossover. So Dan Jurgens did breakdowns and he wrote the story, and I came in and I did finish inks on it, and that was like one of those treasury size books. So that was double, like those big. Remember when you were a kid, those big treasury size?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was huge. I think it was square bound too. It was pretty deluxe, and then an Alex Ross cover. It's pretty neat. Yeah. So good times. I think that's Gary Frank. So yeah, it was good times. Let me see. I'm gonna hang out in the chat for a minute, and then I think I'm gonna wrap this bad boy up because you probably want it on that other stream.
Yeah, they sent me a link, but they're going to be talking. They're going to be babbling. They're not in a hurry to get me in there. They invited me on because I've been trying to push the last push for chapter 1 because I'll be fulfilling that here in the next week because I actually expect my books to arrive tomorrow for chapter 1 of Rise the Pirate King, and then in probably about 2.5 weeks, somewhere around there, I'm hoping to launch the campaign for chapter 2. I'm kind of gauging like August because it's been. I don't know if you've noticed, but like the whole YouTube environment gets kind of slow during this time of summer. So
yeah. I see this. I got to ask Captain Clockwork, who are you? Give us your real name, because he said I enjoyed coloring art's work on Superman. So I got to find out who this is. I don't want to say the name because I don't want to possibly out. Because some people like to keep the mystery about them.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's Captain Clockwork. If you're so inclined, share. This is like one of those share who you really are. Let us know. That might be fun. Oh, I was gonna say. Oh, hey Glenn, how are you, brother? Very cool. So Captain Clockwork is Glenn Whitmore. Glenn was doing stuff. Like this is pre-computer age, man. So he was doing stuff that was cutting edge. Like there were a couple colorists just before the digital era, and they were doing what was it called, red line work and overlay stuff. So there were ways to do knockouts and different things to where you didn't have a black holding line. You could kind of like with a red marker, you could outline things. And then the colorists would see that as a holding line, but it wouldn't print as a holding line. So you could actually do color on color that you couldn't do any other way. So if you look at some of those Superman books of the time, there's a lot of stuff that we did like that. Or you would see like entire like a figure would be in one color. So like if you wanted to do like say print this outline in just a solid red, you could do that on an overlay, and then that overlay would just be printed in color versus like a black line art. So if you go over those old comic books, you could kind of see some of that stuff. I think you take it for granted now, but then it was a big deal, man. You could knock cityscapes back. Like if you remember old comics, they'd just be all in color. Like the black line artwork would be like purples or stuff like that. That's things that we were doing. So, yeah, thank you for doing such a great job with all that stuff, Glenn. I do appreciate it. And Glenn says he's doing well, and he is still coloring. Oh, cool, man. We got to get you on the show, Captain Clockwork. Yes, send me a DM, and we'll hang out and go down memory lane. I do remember the Superman office. It was very, very cool because they didn't care, like, who you were. So if you were the letterer or the inker or colorist, or, you know, if you worked on the book, you were part of these Superman summits. So you got to contribute to story and any kind of ideas. So I always thought that was really cool that Mike Carlin would invite everybody, the whole team, you know, not just like the writer and penciler, but basically the whole team would come in and do powwows. And I thought that was really cool.
That is cool. I mean, also it does give more depth to a story. The more brains you have on generating ideas, the better it can be. That is really great work, by the way.
Oh, thank you. So here's a close-up. I think I did 4 of these during the live stream. So if you guys ordered a Vampirella piece of artwork, that's what I've been working on. So there's that. And I do want to do one more before I let... Oh, Drew's back with the Superman covers. Oh, there's all kinds of good stuff. There's the Superman Flash race. I wasn't worthy of cover work yet. So I got to do the interiors, but I didn't get to ink the cover. Yeah, in those days, you had to pay your dues before you got to work up to cover work.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I want to go black and white real quick and do one last go around and show this off. So black and white volume 1 second chance campaign. We are 3 days out.
You're showing my my screen.
Oh, wait, hold on. Let me come back. Okay, so how do I do this? I go here first then. Okay, thanks. So now I can screen share. Let's see if this will work.
Yep.
Yeah, we're good now. Okay, so yeah, this is the black and white volume 1 second chance campaign. We're 3 days. We have 3 days left. We're at $30,841 dollars, 506 backers. Thanks you guys so much for turning this into a colossal success. I really was thinking if we did 10 grand by the end of the campaign, that was going to be, you know, a triumph. So you guys have exceeded any of my expectations here, and we still have 3 days, you guys. So there's still room for some crazy stuff to happen here. So yeah, so here's the black and white piece that I did just for this campaign. So this is colored by the great Kyle Ritter. My pencils, my inks. So there's all kinds of cool tiers here. There's the featured tier, which comes with the 3 comics plus poster. All these tiers, you guys, come with the trading card, which is based on that total bot Annihilation artwork. We have the poster, like I said, it's oversized. It's 36 by 24 inches. We have a second chance at the Vampirella black and white commemorative cover, which here is a better shot of it right here that I did for Dynamite. So black and white's 25th anniversary and Vampirella's 50th anniversary. So I was very, very flattered that I was asked to do that. We have the Grey Capullo original cover, which we sold out. And so we have the new Grey Capullo Virgin cover that we have. And that's just, we brought that in for this campaign. So you can get that as a tier and you can get that as an add-on. There's a couple of the pages here that you can see. We started off as a 48-page graphic novel, and then because of the stretch goals, we got to 54 pages. We also upgraded the paper, and we added a square-bound spine instead of saddle stitch. So that's all because of you. So we created a crazy, cool, one-of-a-kind collectible, and that's all because of your support. So thanks, you guys. And then this is as a tier and as an add-on. This is all the original stretch goal goodies. We have the trading card, we have the button set, we have the embroidered patches, we have the mini print, we have the bookmark, which is double side. On one side is black and on the other side is white. And so we added we had a sticker to the original campaign, but we added a new one here. So this is like 3.5 by 3.5. It's really a big sticker, you guys. So and that's based on that artwork as well. And so you can get all those goodies in the Killer Bot tier. So you can get the stretch goal goodies, the 3 books plus the poster print, all signed here in the Killer Bot tier. We have the original art tier where I can draw these fantastic robot battling duo. We can do that for you, and that's also as an add-on. And so, like I said, the black and white variant, Grey Capullo, is an add-on, and those stretch goal goodies. We have original artwork from '94 as a tier as well. And keep in mind, you guys, all these will come with that collectible card based on the new artwork. So thanks, guys, for supporting. I know I'm saying thank you a lot, but oh my gosh, we just went up. We have 508 backers. Yeah, we are a stone's throw away from 31K. Holy shit, Drew. Should we stay on for another hour?
We could let's see if we can get up to 31K. That's like only $67. I mean, maybe somebody will back it to shut us up.
Yeah, I'll take that. I'll take hush money. So very cool, guys. Thanks for letting me share that with you. Thanks for all the support. I do appreciate everything. And thank you so much, Drew. Dr. What is it, Mr. E? And then your book is
Captain Love.
Captain Love.
Yeah.
I get Captain and Doctor for some reason. There's a lot of doctors, a lot of captains in this.
Well, there's the reason why a lot of people get the whole like Dr. Love thing is, that was a very famous Kiss song. You know what I mean? So
like call me. They call me Dr. Love.
Yeah, they call me Dr. Love. Yeah.
You know what, Drew? I got the Cure you're thinking of. Wait a minute, that's kind of gay. In the context of the song, I think I don't think that's what Gene Simmons is thinking.
Actually, that is, but he wasn't talking to a guy.
Yeah, that's what he was probably thinking about a lovely woman.
Yeah, he was singing to the groupies.
Yeah, the Ken Kelly Kiss groupies. Remember that was the Love Gun cover? Was that Ken Kelly that painted that?
Was it Ken Kelly?
With all the gorgeous painted white, sexy girls. I'll tell you one thing, man. If music wants to get back to where they were, they're going to have to bring back the album cover, because there were so many albums that I bought just because of the artwork. And I think Kiss was the initial lure. There was all that fantastic artwork.
And Iron Maiden, another band that artwork sold the album partially.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And all the what was the Yes artist? I think we were talking about on your stream. I forgot his name now.
Oh man.
But yeah, there was a lot of good. Was it Taylor? Was it Roger Taylor? Roger Dean.
Roger Dean.
Roger Dean.
Right. Yeah, Ken Kelly did the Love Gun cover. Yeah.
Did he do the Destroyer as well? I got to meet him at a convention, and I geeked out.
I don't know. Destroyer and Love Gun look a lot alike. Let's see here. Did he do Destroyer as well?
I know he did 2 different covers for Kiss.
Destroyer album cover was come on, artwork, ink. Yeah, King Kelly.
Oh yeah, my memory has not failed me completely yet. Replicant says peace, guys. Peace to you as well. Best stream ever. Thank you, Hyper Kaiju. And
Hyper Kaiju, yeah, the Kaiju, as in, you know, like with that fight. You've seen those Japanese battle movies, you know,
the giant monsters fighting. Yeah.
Right.
So we got Central Scrutinizer, and yes, artist is Roger Dean. And I got to meet Roger Dean too at like a backstage like meet and greet at a Yes concert, and I geeked out. I couldn't afford anything. I hate doing this, Drew. I know you know this, man, where you see an artist or you see somebody that you absolutely loved as a kid or whatever, and then you know that it's the polite thing to do is buy one of their pieces of artwork and get it signed, right? But the price is astronomical. So there was nothing at Roger Dean's booth that was even close to what I could afford. So I ended up just waiting in line and just like shaking his hand saying, "You're brilliant. I love your work. And by the way, Avatar ripped off all your designs." And he said, and that was my in. So then he shared and he agreed. He said that that he feels the same way, that you know, those floating blocks of land and stuff like that that they used in Avatar were definitely inspired by the Roger Dean Yes covers. So that was my in. So I felt like I actually connected with him a little bit.
Yeah, no, those covers are awesome. I'm trying to think of. I'm trying to get the album name. A friend of mine had a. I think it was. Okay, he had an album cover. It wasn't painted by Roger Dean, but it was a Roger Dean one that was repainted for Tower Records, and he had it on his wall. I'm trying to figure out.
Well, I'm going to share because I have to, because it's so inspiring and so gorgeous. And if no one has ever seen Roger Dean artwork, this will be a treat. And you guys should go check more stuff out. I know he's got a few books. I wish he would have been selling the books at that show, because I probably would have been able to afford those. Yeah, so there's these, they're usually landscapes.
Right.
Can you guys see this? I know this isn't the best way to see the artwork. Yeah, it's real science fiction, but you can see like these floating like shapes, like landmass, and that's definitely
it was kind of a combination between landscape and sci-fi, you know, very fantasy. And I think he did the tour posters too. Yeah,
and he did like Uriah Heep, he did Asia, he did a lot of more like progressive rock bands, I think, of the time. And he's still painting, he's still doing stuff. I'm oh, here's the Yes Fragile album. So he did that. I think he designed the logo for that band too. So he did a lot of like just art direction. Like there used to be bands that had artists that did art direction, like you mentioned, Iron Maiden and stuff like that,
right,
that they hired, and those guys did the logo designs. Like even what was one of the first like prog rock bands, like Pink Floyd? They definitely, I forget that guy's name, but they had an art director as well. And then they hired, oh my gosh, I'm blanking. Somebody in the chat will know. He did all the Pink Floyd wall stuff.
Right.
That artist. And then they based a lot of I think he did all the animation for the movie as well. But I think they worked with one art director specifically, and then he would kind of overall do the art direction, and then he would hire the talent as well. Was it Storm Thorgensen. Yeah, and so he would do all the art direction.
I figured out which album it was. I had to hunt it down, but it was the latter. That was the album cover that was repainted on my friend's wall.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's the one that looks kind of like forestry, but it looks like it's forest on like that are growing out of the rocks. You know what I mean? It's kind of.
Oh yeah, yeah. There's all that stuff, and those paintings are gorgeous. Like those reproductions don't do it justice. He had a few of his paintings. They're massive. They're big, and they're absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah,
So,
this one. I mean, the ones they did for Tower Records were wall sized. I mean, they were huge. This one, it was probably 6 feet by 6 feet square. So.
Did somebody take that wall? Like
well, when Tower Records closed down in Hollywood, they had a whole bunch of those paintings in the warehouses, and so those were all like auctioned off.
Oh, so it was like a painting that was the size of a wall, but it was like attached to the wall, or did he literally paint on the wall?
No, they were paintings that were the size of a wall. They were 6 by 6 paintings.
Oh, okay.
That they were used for promotional in Tower Records. I mean, they were actually like they were hung in the window on the inside of the window.
Yeah.
Actually, I think they were hung outside back then.
So you're a Cal guy. So is this like Hollywood, the Tower Records Hollywood?
Yes, actually, it was the one on Sunset
on the corner there. Yeah, the legendary Tower Records. They had a big billboard too, like just slightly above it or around that area. So a lot of the rock bands would. It was almost like the gates to get into Sunset. You know, where all like the clubs were as well, like the Gazaris and the whiskey and stuff like that. There was all that kind of like it almost felt like just like a rock.
It's so weird how the Rainbow and the Roxy are just like right next door neighbors. You know what I mean?
Right? Yeah, they're walking distance, and then they used to have. I'm older, so they had Madame Longs and they had Gazaris on the Strip, and then the Troubadour, and then the Roxy.
Yeah. The Troubadour is a little out of the way, and the Whiskey A Go Go, the Roxy, and the Rainbow are all like right there, like neighborhood.
Yeah, they're really close, and I think like the Troubadour is like right on the end, right? It's almost all the way on the end. I think it's right almost where you enter Beverly Hills or something.
Isn't it still there? They didn't close the Troubadour, did they?
I think the Troubadour is still there. Yeah. But yeah, when I was a kid, I aspired to play those clubs. A lot of those clubs I did get to play when I was in a rock band. So I lived a pretty good life, man. It's not over yet. There's some cool stuff.
I hopefully have a lot of mileage left on me because there's a lot of things in my life that I didn't get to do, but at the same time I can't go around talking like I didn't do nothing. I mean I did play in a rock and roll band and tour the country. You know what I mean? That's like one of those things that is like you can't say I've done nothing when you've done that. It's like
I don't know if people can see, like you got that massive ponytail, so you're definitely a long hair, like hippie, rock and roll guy.
I definitely have years and years and years of hair down pictures and stuff that are out there. I just don't wear my hair down as much anymore because it's like a hassle. I'll wash it and braid it. I still don't have the guts to cut it. That comes from being when I was a freshman in high school. I had a whole bunch of people convince me that I'd be better looking if I cut my hair off, because my hair was always down. It was thick and curly, and it was before I discovered things like hair straightener. You know what I mean? And and it was just past mullet length. You know what I mean? So it looked kind of funky. So everybody was like trying to convince me to cut all my hair off. And I'm like, all right, you know what? I'll give it a try. It'll grow back. Man, let me tell you, it was like one of the worst mistakes ever. I felt like it was in a Halloween costume I couldn't get out of. I just, you know what I mean? It didn't feel like me, and so, and then to grow that back, it took until I was a senior in high school. So we're talking like 3 years of hair growth. And then I literally have been afraid to cut my hair ever since. You know what I mean? So
what instrument did you play?
I was the front man, but I also play guitar. So
oh, cool.
Yeah.
This is a piece that I'm working on. This is like the layout. I'm not going to say who it's for or what it's for.
That's cool. A skull, and that's a
A sexy lady.
yeah. That's very cool.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, so got a bunch of things planned. I'm going to be letting you guys know what those plans are very, very soon. So I think I'm going to wrap it up. I'm getting a little worn out, and I don't want to, wear out my time with Drew here. I do want to get him back on the show, and I'd like to get back on his as well. So, Drew, do you have anything to shill? I know you said you got a book coming up.
I do have Captain Love. Are you you're aware of it, obviously? But yeah. So Captain Love, Rise the Pirate King, and the first book, Hero of the Cleansing, are both currently in demand. Chapter 1, Rise the Pirate King, is going to be shipping within roughly a week. I'm expecting the books to arrive tomorrow. I'm waiting for one pinup to come after the books arrive. It's kind of running a little bit late. That one, though, is for the people that backed early off of the link for the mailing list, so that they may have to wait like a few days longer for their fulfillment just to get the thing. But I'm going to start fulfilling as soon as the books arrive. And then chapter 2 of Rise the Pirate King is in the lettering process right now. I'm going to start the campaign for that probably about the beginning of August, first week of August, somewhere in there. I want to run that for 2 months, have it shut down sometime in October, so that I can fulfill that one by Christmas easily. So that's what's going on with Captain Love. I have a top secret project coming out next year. I'm kind of excited about. I subscribe to the Drew Love on YouTube, and go search Captain Love on Indiegogo. And if you see what you like, if you like what you see, give it some support.
Yeah, back that book. And do you have a pre-launch set up yet for your next campaign?
No, actually, I don't want to launch my pre-launch until I get my first fulfillment out. So then I'm going to let it roll, and then I'm going to let my pre-launch roll about 3 weeks, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. And right after that, I'm going to launch. So I just don't want to ask people to make any kind of commitment until they can see what's going on. You know what I mean?
I completely understand. Well, very good. Thanks again, Drew. Thanks for Brian. We had Brian in earlier. We had Sim in earlier. I want to thank them as well for hanging out, making this a lot of fun. And thanks, as always, to everybody in the chat. You guys are the best. Thanks for all the support. And I
want to say thank you to Art Tiber for all the freaking amazing artwork you have produced over the last 20 plus years, man. It's terrific.
Oh, thank you, man. I just checked Black and White. I was hoping that we could turn that over into that 31K. We are so darn close, but I think we'll be able to make it by the end of the day. So if you guys could tweet that out, help and help with the Drew's book as well. This is all guerrilla marketing, getting the word out. We rely on you guys. So if you like what you see, please, tweet out, advertise, and let people know these campaigns, these books exist.
Yeah, don't forget about Chrono Mechanics. That's also out there too.
We got Chrono Mechanics. I see Dark Stranger. I got to read this. Okay, wait, it was up here. Okay, so right quick, do you know an artist by the name of Kevin Lau? Is it Lau? I know Kevin Lau. I was interested in his art by using as a study piece for my own drawing attempts. It sounds real familiar. I think I know of him, but I can't picture his work right off the bat. But he doesn't have any art sites or anything. He's like a ghost. Yeah, I can't help you out there, Dark Stranger. I wish I could. But somehow this is pretty fitting for Dark Stranger to be talking about ghosts and not being able to find somebody.
And his name is Dark Stranger. Yeah, that is kind of funny.
All right, man. Well, thanks, and I will talk to you soon. Take care.
Definitely. Well, I will definitely talk to you soon.